Transfer fees up. Season tickets up. High prices up. Why the blooming heck are you still up?
Do you know what time it is?
Topical sport and debate worth staying awake for. The Two Mikes.
All night long.
On Talk Sport.
All night long. Night and morning, I drink mornings and vodka.
Look at the light!
You use the time always as a handbrake U-turn to get out of an argument you can't win.
No, I use the time to keep the show going towards the right time frame that it's meant to go in.
Boulder Dash.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the Two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Good morning, Mike. I'm going to put a slight bend on the old Advocar one. Okay, how about this?
Go on.
Night and mornings, I give warnings. I'm crying, Advocar.
Well,
did you see the end of the game
There's
last
nothing
night?
wrong with a bit of emotion being shown, is there?
Oh, come on. He wants to
There's
be the
nothing
strong
wrong with
man
that.
in charge of a Premier League club, and I'm afraid that
It's a very emotional moment.
well, of course it's emotional, but, things get emotional in life. The point is, it's not like he's been with the club for 43 years.
Doesn't matter.
And all of a sudden...
He was brought in like Red Adair to do a job, and he's done the job, and I think he should be very happy with his £500,000 bonus.
It's a culmination of a life. That's probably why he's crying. Crying with joy. I've got £500,000.
No, I'll tell you why he's crying. He's crying because Mrs. Advocat has said you've got to hop it back to Holland now, and you won't be able to stay around for another £500,000 bonus.
Yeah, it could well be. But what I'm saying is, it's not like the culmination of 4 decades of effort and all that kind of stuff finally got them into the Premier League.
I think he's done a brilliant job.
I think he's done an okay job, but he's a football manager. That's what they're supposed to do. But to suddenly burst into tears, my name's Dick Advocat, and I cry a lot.
Right, well, let's put things in perspective then for a moment.
Roses and Piccadilly. The tulips.
You see, you are now exhibiting the real truth about what you're like. You don't want anyone to show any kind of emotion.
It's not that at all.
Particularly at a time when emotion should be shown.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with it at all. Look at Sean Dyche, for example. This is a guy that everybody's been talking about all year.
He doesn't cry.
No, he doesn't cry.
No.
He's very stoic. He can barely
Sir Alex
speak half the
Ferguson,
time.
never saw him cry.
Well, you've seen a tear in his eye once in a while.
I don't think so. Not at the height of victory. Never seen Jose Mourinho cry because he's been successful.
Cry. Yes, I've seen Mourinho cry.
What, through success?
Yeah,
no, don't think so.
Right.
Don't think
Sean
so.
Dyche
Never seen Arsene Wenger cry.
Yeah, well, Sean Dyche is supposed to be, the epitome of the great British manager. Sean Dyche. He can barely ever speak, right? Yeah. He's had a disastrous season.
I think we'll survive now.
He's had a disastrous season, right? He's been completely...
He hasn't had a disastrous season.
Failure. He's been a complete failure.
Wash your mouth out.
No, he's been a complete failure. But because he's British, we all say, isn't he a great manager? How is he a great manager?
Wash your mouth out.
Have been useless this year, and they're going back down.
No, he tried very, very hard to keep them up.
So how is he better than Dick Advocat?
Well, because the resources he had to work with are nothing like the resources of Sunderland. No, I'm telling you, laddie, I'm telling you.
Rubbish. No.
And with old Dick Advocat, what I'm saying is, I am the little general. They call him the little general.
Yeah, why not?
Well, Napoleon was a general, but Napoleon fought battles like Waterloo. He didn't go around crying because...
Well, you might have done, you never know.
Because he won the right to choose the tea that day or something like that. Some minor victory.
I bet if he had
this
won,
is a minor victory.
I bet if he had won instead of lost, he would have been weeping.
Rubbish. It's a minor victory. He's called the Little General, but the Little General who struts around. I remember him at Rangers strutting around, I'm the top man in the top man in Scotland.
No, that's Louis Van Gaal you're talking about.
Because I got Rangers and all that, and now he's bursting into tears because how many games has he been in charge of Sunderland? 7.
Understand, something like that.
7 or 8 games.
Yeah, but look at the results.
I've
got the results here. The most recent, just in this month alone, Everton 0, Sunderland 2. Aha! There's the reason why you're upset, because Sunderland managed to beat Everton by 2-0. Sunderland 2, Southampton 1.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Mornings, I give you a warning. I'm crying, Advocat.
They got a point against Leicester, and they got a point against Arsenal. So in 4 games, in 4 games, they've got 8 points, which is brilliant.
If I was a Sunderland fan now, I'd say, and supposing it happened at Everton for me, and it wouldn't, because we wouldn't take a temporary manager, but I'd say, right, OK, Dick, thanks very much indeed. We're back in it, but you're not coming back next season. What I do not want to see is a manager weeping on the touchline.
No, I think you're taking this far away out of proportion.
It's an appalling image to give to anybody, to give to your enemies, to give to your friends, to give to your followers, your supporters.
So are you saying then...
I think his wife would be ashamed of him.
Are you saying then, if you're a supporter standing...
Mrs. Advocat, she said, I was really sorry to see Dick crying on the touchline.
How do you know she's Dutch?
Well, I assume she is, because he said about going back to...
She might not be Dutch.
To Holland.
No, the point is,
Oh,
right...
what nationality is she then?
I don't know.
Well, find out before you ask stupid questions like that.
I will find out.
Pan face.
I will. Pen face. That's a new one. Pan face. Now, what I'm saying to you is that you are now insulting every football fan across the land who burst into tears when their team managed to survive relegation.
No.
Are you saying that Everton fans shouldn't cry at the end of the season?
Not at all. Being a fan is an emotional attachment with something you've had for life.
Yes.
So, for instance, if I suddenly burst into tears because Everton escaped relegation, or won the FA Cup, or got into the Champions League, or
there's no chance of any of that
the Champions League. Well, there's no chance of them getting into relegation difficulty. I agree.
Or into the Champions League.
And I burst into tears. That would be because of an association going on for 5 decades with Everton Football Club.
Yeah, but hang on.
Dick Advocaat's been attached to Sunderland for 7 blinking games.
If you're hired...
And he's bursting into tears.
No, if you're hired to do a job and you manage to be successful in that job, and as a result of being successful, you win accolades, you win an awful lot of money, there's nothing wrong at all
I don't see it much in the way of...
With being in any way sort of helpful. I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
I don't see much in the way of leadership to be bursting into tears all over the place, you know. It doesn't grab me. Now, I've got...
Advocaat has a daughter from a marriage which ended in divorce, it says here, so I don't know who his second wife is.
Oh, well, you know, perhaps it's his...
I'll keep looking it up.
Could be the Dutch flushy. No, I don't mean that. I mean
the
second wife. Now, I've got a challenge for you as the show goes on, okay?
Yeah, go on.
You may have seen today, or you may not, you don't apply yourself extensively to what's going on around you. Oh, very busy, yeah. They found a new portrait of the Bard, of
Shakespeare.
Is
it not the anniversary of the release of his sonnets?
It is. And they've done a bit of research, and during the course of this research, they came up with what they think is an original... it's not a painting. It's done with
a line
a pen.
drawing.
It's a pen, yeah. A portrait of the artist as a young bard. The only known portrait of William Shakespeare from his own lifetime, complete with film star looks, thought to have been discovered after the unravelling of an Elizabethan puzzle. The image shows the playwright, aged about 33, wearing a laurel wreath and holding various flowers mentioned in his early works.
Oh, yeah.
So they think he could have been a sort of cameo appearance in one of his plays, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and therefore he's dressed up in this
have you got a picture of this pen?
I've got a picture of it. I'll show you.
Let's have a look.
See that? See that?
Oh, the one at the top?
Yes, the one at the top there.
It's not very good, is it?
It's almost like Julius Caesar, isn't it? And that kind of stuff.
Weird-looking moustache.
But anyway, look, I thought it was about time. Last week, I did a very, very passable imitation of a Picasso when I said I could do a better job than Picasso.
Yeah.
A challenge I'm issuing to you between now and the next top of the hour in the show, which will be 3 o'clock. I want a passable image of me at work, OK?
All right.
Yeah, you can do that?
Well, I'll try. I'm not very good at drawing.
No, you're useless.
Well, no, it's not. My talent is writing, not drawing.
I'm not sure that's
Even
true.
though my father was a professional artist, unfortunately,
I have
he didn't pass...
excuse
me.
Yes?
I'm just still talking. This is the guy whose paintings you bought and then hung disgracefully in some slum that you rented out to some Egyptian doctor, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. So you say... This is very racist. You're saying Egyptian doctors live in slums.
Well, I'm saying that you rented a place...
No, that's what you're saying.
Well, you said it was an Egyptian doctor that lived there.
Yeah, but I've never called it a slum because it is a slum. It is a very nice one-bedroom flat in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Really?
It's occupied by an Egyptian doctor who saves children's lives.
How much does he pay for it?
He saves children's lives. He's a
paleontologist?
No, he's not a paleontologist, you idiot. He's
chiropodist?
No, he's what you call doctors who look after children.
Oh, really? Paediatrician.
Paediatrician.
Really?
That's exactly the word, right?
Right.
And he saves children's lives. And you've just described him as a scumbag who lives in a hovel.
I did not use that word.
Where did you say he lived in?
I said you rent out a slum to an Egyptian doctor.
And in my definition, anybody who lives in a slum is a scumbag. A, the doctor's a doctor.
Unfortunate.
B, it's not a
Lots of people
hovel.
live in slums
C,
who can't
slum.
help themselves.
I resent that enormously.
All I'm telling you is I resent the fact that you were poo-pooing once again the talents of my father.
I didn't ever do that.
Whose paintings that you bought, but then refused to put up in your own house.
Mike, let's get it straight about your dad. I'm very sorry that he died and he was a nice man and all that.
Really?
But because he was a stumblebum artist, I bought a couple of paintings once at an exhibition that we all went to where he gave me 2 small glasses of warm wine.
Yeah.
You know, this was the cocktail evening, you know, and the exhibition of your father's paintings.
That's not what you're used to, is it?
Most of the paintings I thought were dreadful.
Right.
And I
well, what would you know about art?
I know a lot more about art than you realise.
Philistine.
I wouldn't have put the paintings on the wall of the local pigsty.
So you put them in your slum?
No,
instead.
I didn't. No, I put them in a one-bedroom flat, which is now rented out by an Egyptian doctor, and that's all I can tell you. And frankly, if that is such little appreciation you show to me for basically
I'm
your
supposed
father
to,
a bit
I'm
of
supposed
dosh.
to be thankful to you,
Of course you are. Nobody
Really?
else bought any paintings
No,
that
I
night.
bought loads of them.
Yeah, but you had to. You're his son.
Oh, right.
So, you had to support your father. That's what any decent son would do. Instead of banishing him, throwing him out of your flat, making him walk back to JFK, 16 miles away, without
he
any
did that of his
shoes on.
own accord.
Without any shoes on,
did that of his own accord.
because you threw him out of your apartment.
And he was wearing shoes, as it happens.
Was he?
Anyway, the point is, what you know about art, you can put on the back of a postage stamp and stick it up, and that's backside. Here's the bottom line.
I think that's disgusting.
I will draw a picture of you, despite the fact that my talent is
I want
not
to see,
drawing.
because
I will do. I'll tell you what. I'll do it in double quick time. In fact, and I'll do it in the next break, and I'll send it out on Twitter, and they can be the judge. The people out there can be the judge of whether it's a decent likeness.
I don't think you'll be showing enough application to the job.
Have you seen the time, by the way?
Well, I'm not worried about the time. So, well, I tell you what. I quite like the encroaching time now because you're just about to make a mug of yourself.
My favourite tweet of the day when you sent out yesterday's podcast about how clever octopuses were.
Yes.
And you said they can even tell the time.
That's right.
And somebody tweeted, he shouldn't be worried about the time.
No, exactly. He shouldn't be.
You better hope and pray that you make it safe back to your own world. You better hope and pray that you'll wake one day in your own world.
Song? You know this song?
Something to do with Shakespeare.
Yeah, Shakespeare's sister, name of the band.
Shakespeare's sister. That's very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell you what. Sorry, my mic's gone mad here. It's going up and down.
Well, it's not the only thing that's going mad.
Excuse me. I tell you what.
I
The
can't
connection
believe
is.
the kind of stuff you come out with about my father.
Well,
Absolutely shocking.
Well, I'm sorry, but you provoked me. You
provoked
provoked me.
You expect me to sit here and work with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, you pretty much insult me throughout every single show. But to have a go at my dad in a way that which is quite disgraceful, a man who's passed on, a man in whom I've
my dad's passed on.
Yeah, well, I don't insult your dad.
No, you didn't know him.
Well, yeah, but I would never insult your dad.
Yeah, but I knew your father.
Yeah, but so you think it's all right for you to insult him then?
Well, I think you've got to be honest about the sort of chap he was. I mean,
my
look,
dad was a great guy.
he was a highly intelligent man, and he was eccentric, and he had some
carry
talent as a sort of graphic artist.
I'm shocked.
Hang on, as a graphic artist, but he was he was a screwball, and he could often wreck a domestic gathering just by saying a few harsh words to somebody.
Yeah, but,
and you admit he did. He used to wreck social gatherings.
He's not here to defend himself.
Well, you're here to defend him, so you can defend him. Maybe you've inherited some of his negative points. In fact, I'd say that's probably the case.
Maybe I have.
Anyway, listen, move on for your father.
I'll tell you what, if he was here now, because he's from Glasgow, he'd have smacked you around the face.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think he would.
Man of violence as well, eh?
Yeah, he was.
Now then, I want to talk to you about Shakespeare because I have a very close affinity to Shakespeare.
Do you? Why is that then? Why on earth do you have an affinity to Shakespeare?
I'm about to tell you.
What, because of your incredible florid literary style?
Well, there's something in that, and the fact that I'm an expert.
Why don't you write a sonnet?
Well, no, I don't need to write a sonnet. What I want to tell you about is that when I used to work for the Birmingham Evening Mail, I worked in Redditch, right? And Redditch is right on the border of Worcestershire and Warwickshire.
Oh, yeah.
So you only had to go
Lovely
a few
county,
miles.
Warwickshire, isn't it?
Beautiful county. So we would often go over to Stratford-upon-Avon,
Oh, yeah.
me and my mate who worked in the same office, because it was a lovely town.
No,
and
I
in
don't believe that. You must have been going to a pub or something, or in the search
Of course we were. Of course we were.
search of sex victims or
Oh,
something.
we were definitely going for birds. I mean, excuse me, young ladies, yeah, because there were hundreds of them there, tourists and all that kind of stuff.
Tourists you were going for?
Tourists, yeah. They used to be impressed by...
shameless.
No, they used to be impressed by our local knowledge, which was...
even though you didn't have any?
Well, yeah, not really. Neither of us came from there, but we used to pretend...
Look, over there, there's the Avon. That's the river.
Yeah, there's Anne Hathaway's cottage, she was born in 1621 and all this, you just make it up. It didn't matter, so it was okay. But the best story was we had a lad who was a van driver on the Birmingham Evening Mail, the one we worked for. He lived in Stratford-on-Avon, and he used to supplement his rather meagre salary driving a van around delivering papers of the Evening Mail papers in Warwickshire by knocking up original Shakespearean furniture for American tourists. And it was fantastic.
Is this another crime you're confessing to that you were part of?
Well, we used to help him. So whenever we went over to Stratford-on-Avon,
you literally were running this kind of small time, kind of racket.
No, we'd meet up with him, right, and then he'd take us back to his place. He had a shed in the garden where he'd just knocked up another genuine Shakespearean chair, and then what we had to do was take it and bash it against walls and all this kind of stuff to make it look as though it was 400 years old, you know, and rub sort of mud in the cracks and all this kind of stuff, you know. And all these Americans would turn up, and one guy turned up and. He said...
how much would they charge for these?
£500 or £600.
So quite a lot of money.
Oh, quite a lot of money,
Is that
yeah.
fraud?
I don't know. But anyway, what happened was...
We need the fraud alarm here.
We were in the pub one night, right, and this guy, an American, approached us, and he said, are you Jimmy, the Shakespearean trade merchant? And Jimmy said, yeah. He said,
here's some Shakespearean coins I've got for you as well, right?
No, he said, yeah, my name is, D. Walt Hooterberger, and I'm
the
from
third
from Chicago. He says my cousin Jeffrey D. Hooterberger the Fourth was here, was here last summer, and he bought off you a genuine Shakespeare chair, and I just wanted to know.
He may have sat in it himself. Right?
Yeah, that's right. He said, I just wanted to know, have you got any more?
Right.
I mean, who in the world would have a supply of genuine Shakespearean chairs?
Mind you, this guy's probably flogging them for $1,000 a time.
Maybe.
And promising about 500 people that he's got them all,
Maybe. But anyway, what happened was, at the bar, Jimmy said, very interesting you should say that. He said, there's one coming on the market tomorrow, and this was Tuesday, it's Monday. He said, I could probably acquire it and have it ready for you by Friday. How's that? Oh, yeah, hey, this is great. And then Jimmy made the chair in 2 days. It was easy. He just knocked it together, and then we went round.
Did he just make it from sort of basic kind of wood? Yeah, here's another crime. Here's the crime alarm coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he just made it from ordinary wood. But what we used to help him do, because it's quite difficult to make a chair in 2 days. We used to get oily rags and things from out of our car
and sort of instantly age them.
Yeah, used to because we'd go to the car and we'd get an oily rag, rub it around the engine where there's loads of sort of soot and grease and oil, and then rub it all over the new chair.
Right.
So it became an old chair. It was quite ridiculous.
My old man taught me how to make those old treasure maps. Where you would you would make the treasure map and do it in just do it on an ordinary piece of paper, fold it into 4 pieces, and dip it in a pot of tea. Basically.
Oh, really? That's a good idea.
You put tea into a saucepan, and you cook it for a little while.
Yeah,
so
good
it gets
idea.
all kind of jaggy at the edges.
Yeah.
And you could pass this thing off as a treasure map. I mean, we never did it as kids and pretended we have treasure maps.
Yeah.
That's astonishing, though. So how much money did your mate make then?
Well, he used to flog these chairs for about 400 or 500 quid, and they're all the same. But I mean, what he was so good at was, patterns on the back of the chair. He'd say, this was the emblem of Mary Queen of Scots or something like that. So
he actually carved it. I mean, he must have been quite a handy woodsman then, was he?
Well, yeah, I mean, he was a carpenter, basically, and that was his job. A carpentry didn't pay anything, so I ended up driving a van for the Birmingham Mail. But he could knock a chair together easy enough, no problem at all.
Right.
And he wasn't a carver or anything like that. You just got a chisel and you just dug around the wood like that, make it look like, because in those days, you've got to remember, they had no symmetry.
Well, you just have to make it look worn, I suppose.
Yeah, they had no symmetry. There wasn't the symmetrical sort of tools you can get today. So anybody who was doing it by hand would never get it completely right anyway. And it always looked ridiculous.
And did you have any success with the female tourists at Stratford-upon-Avon?
We met quite a few.
Did you?
Yeah, we met quite a few.
And what did you do with them, though? Did you take them, drag them back in the van to Birmingham, then?
Well, no, we didn't need the van. I mean, we had pretty good cars in those days.
Oh, so you brought me cars to Birmingham?
Well, we didn't take them to Birmingham because we only lived up the road in Regency, so we'd invite them and, we'd get a charabanc or something like that, go out for the day, that sort of thing.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was very good, but it's fantastic because the swans you see on the River Avon there, and we used to get a punt out and go punting down the river.
I can imagine.
With a couple of ladies and tell them then all about the swans, our knowledge of swans and how they lived and all that kind of stuff. A swan only has one mate in life.
I mean, was there any time
when
you were a young man you were not sort of either one on the pull, on the drink, or just basically generally just conning people?
No, I think it's a natural sort of thing everybody does at that age.
No, everybody does not do that.
They are. They're seeking a way in life. They're trying to find.
You were doing
trying to find their strengths.
But everything you were doing seemed to be based on underhandedness and trickery and basically deviance.
No, not at all. Not at all. That is.
Now, anyway, I want you to know that I've managed to knock up, as you put it, a painting,
right?
Which I'm about to tweet out on my own timeline.
And am I allowed to look at this before you put it out?
No, I'm going to tweet it first.
Oh, I see. So it's making me look ridiculous then.
Well, it's not. No, it's just I told you I'm not particularly good at art.
Yeah, I know that.
I've had a go at it, and you can see what you think, and you can judge it. And when I tweet it out, and I'll retweet it out on the 2 Mike's account as well, so we can have a look at it. But it's a Shakespearean study of you.
Yes, okay. Is it going out now?
As you are. I'm sending it now. I'll just hit the button.
Excellent. Good.
So do let us know what you think.
Yeah, okay. Now, listen, what I was going to say to you was, you have to remember that in in Stratford-upon-Avon,
Yeah.
there's always been a lot of bikes, like there has in Oxford, OK?
Yeah.
And the reason in Oxford and Cambridge there's a load of bikes is because, of course, there's loads of
There's a load of
students
punts
there.
as well, aren't there?
A load of punts, that's right, in Oxford and Cambridge as well. And Stratford's very much the same. There's a lot of bikes around. But the control of bikes in this country now has gone ridiculous.
How do you mean?
Well, I tell you what, for those people lucky enough not to live in London, they won't have seen the London Evening Standard tonight, OK? But if you do see it, there's a woman there who's called sort of the Bike Czar or something like that, and she's actually advertising the fact that they're going to spend something like, it's some ridiculous amount of money, like £100 million.
Well, they were talking a couple of years ago, spending $1 billion on making London more bike friendly. They were going to build a sort of cantilevered bike, sort of overpass for bikes all the way down the Thames.
How about this? This woman, Michelle, Assistant Project Manager, Transport for London. We are creating a new cycle superhighway from Lancaster Gate to Tower Hill. Now, just to let our listeners know, Lancaster Gate is out west in London. It's where the FA offices used to be, actually, so I know that part of town very, very well. Tower Hill is right over on the other side, the eastern side of London, right? So if they're building this superhighway, I don't know how they're going to build it.
I think they're going to cantilever it out over the river, isn't that the plan?
Between Elephant and Castle and Stonecutter Street, a new segregated north-south cycle superhighway due to be completed by 2016 around the Oval Underground station junctions will be redesigned to accommodate the cycle superhighway. Look, all I would say
But isn't that better than having them on the actual street itself?
Well, all I would say to Michelle is that cyclists do not pay a penny in tax.
Yes.
But they get fantastic facilities. I would like this £100 million, wherever it is, diverted, please, to fill in the potholes in the roads in London and the rest of the country and Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, so that my Mercedes car doesn't buckle its suspension every time it drives from A to B.
Yes.
I want those potholes filled because the taxpayer has a duty to motorists who pour billions and billions and billions of pounds a day into the British economy and get nothing back for it.
Yeah.
What do cyclists get? They get brand new roads.
Yeah.
They get flyovers. They get all sorts of things. Cyclists aren't important, right? Motorists are very important. Motorists make the economy go round. You cannot transport a lorry load of bread in the saddlebag of a bike. So the bikes do not make the economy go round. What are you laughing at?
You can have a lot of bikes transporting a lorry load of bread.
But because a bread lorry goes out in the middle of the night and distributes your bread and your milk and everything.
Yeah, no,
you can't do that on bikes.
You can do it. You just need a
can't.
lot more bikes.
You need millions of bikes, and we need less bikes, not more bikes.
Right, OK. I'm glad you've worked that particular one out. But I've got some news for you on bikes and bits of bikes being stolen as well. But we have to do that in a moment.
Right.
This is Talk Sport. Check out at the two Mikes, at IROMG, at Mike Parry 8, and you'll see my Shakespearean attempt at a drawing
I'd like to have a look
of
at
Mr.
this.
Parry. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can.
Surprise you
What's that?
probably because it's a bit of an old Pink Floyd song which you might not be that familiar with.
What's it called?
It's called Bike.
Bike?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get something like, bicycle,
Well, that's a bit obvious, isn't it?
It is a bit
Yeah, we
obvious.
try
I
a little
agree.
bit. Now, have you had a look at this painting I've done of you?
No,
Why not?
because I believe that you're trying to take the mickey.
No, you asked me to do a picture. I've done
Right.
it. Why aren't you looking at it on your social media device?
I'll look it on yours, please. It's
Oh, you
bigger
want to
than
look at it
mine.
on here? Well,
Yeah.
I think it's quite good.
me have a
There
look.
it is. Look,
Right,
there you go.
Okay.
I've given you quite a sort of rich head of hair, which is actually doing you...
Actually, that's not bad.
I don't think it's bad.
Not bad. Not bad. I'll
no.
wait for the verdict from the listeners,
The
okay?
verdict is in, right? Quite a lot of
Right.
people. Now,
Okay.
here's one from James. He
Yes.
says, this is a fantastic piece of artwork from MG, much better than Porky's Picasso from last week.
Oh, yeah?
Giles says, take his pound of flesh. Roy says, where's the beer glass and tin of food?
What?
Keith says, very good, actually.
Yeah.
Cobblers to pork face.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Owen says, looks like a picture my daughter has done. You're definitely no artist.
Yeah.
Bantam Bouncer says, you made him look a lot younger than he looks in real life.
Where did you? Where were the drawing materials that you need for that? I don't see them here, and you're supposed to do it in the studio.
I draw it on my iPad.
What do you mean draw on your iPad?
I drew on my... Look, I know you have trouble understanding technology. I drew it on my iPad with my finger.
Well, that's like one of those kids' drawing machines. That's not a proper
It's not
drawing.
a drawing machine, it's a drawing app.
Yeah,
it's a
it's
painting
like,
app.
what was that thing with magnetic filings in it when we were kids? What was that called?
What are you talking about? Etch-a-Sketch?
Etch-a-Sketch, yeah, that's,
No, it's not like that at all. And
Ridiculous.
I still had to use my own hand to create the images, right?
I think you cheated as usual.
I did not cheat.
When I did the,
I
when
think
I
that's
did the
quite good.
Picasso thing, I used felt tip pens, right?
Yeah, because
All
that's
you
good.
used is your finger and your
Yeah, but
imagination.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you the app. Do you want to draw something on it?
What do you mean?
Well, you can draw a picture of me on it if you want. And it will show you how talented you are.
Not sure about that.
I don't think you want to, do you?
Not sure about that.
You're basically frightened of technology. Aren't you?
I want to get back to these bikes thing, right? Because there's a very serious issue here, and that is, firstly, people lose their bikes by parking them outside all sorts of railway stations and tube stations and all that.
Well, what they do...
They just get taken to pieces.
Well, what a lot of people do... I mean, there's nothing more annoying, and I'm not going to turn this into an anti-bicycle rant, but there's nothing more annoying than getting onto a very, very busy train in the morning to find that there's a guy with a bicycle.
Oh, yeah, barring the
train.
door.
And so, of course, a lot of times now what they do is they padlock their bike up at the station. They probably do it down where you are, actually, in Stockbroke and Belt Surrey.
They do.
Because they don't want
They've
to
got huge sheds outside the stations
and
where
they take
people
it
park their bikes.
and they park it there, and then when they come home, they cycle home. I don't have a problem with that. I don't really mind that, and I don't really mind them building a superhighway for bikes. I'd rather they didn't spend that kind of money on it.
But listen, I'll tell you what's happening, right? And this is very serious. I've seen a report today, 500 bike jackings last month.
Bike jacking?
In London,
That's a new word, isn't it?
Now, yeah, it is. Now, what happens is, do you remember the opening of Rambo? First Blood.
First Blood, yes.
Yeah, and remember when Rambo's taken in the police station and then he gets all these flashbacks to Vietnam?
Yeah.
So he beats up all the policemen.
Yeah.
In fact, I love that action scene. It's one of the best I've ever seen.
You see yourself as a bit of a Rambo, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the brutality of John Rambo when he gets stuck into the police, an elbow here, a fist in the face.
And the police
there.
are always wearing those horrible polyester sort of camel-coloured trousers, aren't they?
That's right, they are,
and the brown shirts.
And then he slips down on the floor and uses his feet to, bundle over another couple of policemen.
You've seen this film quite a few times.
Oh, it's one of my favourite. Next to Top Gun, it's my favourite film of all time, yeah. Man against the establishment. Right. That's me. That's my life story.
You see yourself
Man against the establishment.
As Rambo in the woods.
I do, yeah. And then he dashes out onto the road, and then he's in the middle of the road, and he's like a wounded animal, and he sees a bike come along, and he grabs the bloke round the throat, just lifts him off the bike, and then he gets on the motorbike, and he's away up on the hills, right?
Well, it wouldn't have worked if it was just taking somebody's bicycle, would it?
Well, no, it wouldn't. But what I'm saying is, and there's a very serious side to this, actually, that what's happening now is that people are literally bike jacking the bikes.
Right.
Now,
some bikes are worth a lot of money.
Well, I was about to tell you, when we all went to South Africa in 2010 for the World Cup, you were all told, lock your doors, never stop at a red light in a densely populated area of Johannesburg.
And that's just to avoid some of the people on the trip with you from Talk Sport.
Absolutely right. It was to avoid people like Mark Saggers and all that. But
I didn't think you were going to give any names out.
No, I don't give any names out, no. But Sags knows what he was up to. And, I
think his lawyers will be in touch with you now.
And what you were supposed to do was to ignore people who knocked on your window and all that, because they would just literally yank the door open, yank you out the car, get in and take it.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening now is, and people are targeting these cycle highways, and it's forcing cyclists back onto roads, and therefore putting them in danger with traffic. Gangs are going and surrounding one cyclist. They're just stopping him. They're just yanking him off his bike. One of the gang jumps on the bike and they're away. And as you quite rightly say, that bike could be worth £600 or £700.
I know, it's astonishing.
And then they can flog it in a pub for 50 or 60 quid. And then there's no way you identify the bike. I mean, look.
Do you think you've ever bought a stolen bike?
Of course I've never bought a stolen bike.
How do you know?
Because I buy any bikes I ever had, I bought from a bike shop.
I don't believe you.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
given the way that you have described your youth, right?
Yeah.
There is no chance in hell that you have not ever bought a dodgy bike from someone.
Actually, funny enough, I did once witness a terrible crime. No, it's true.
Okay.
My mate and I were walking around, near where we lived, on the estate where we lived once, and we came to the corner shop, and there was a bike leaning up against the wall.
Right.
And it was after closing time. There's nobody around. We'd just come back from the playing fields where we'd been playing football.
Yeah.
And my mate said, my bike's knackered. I said, oh, what's happened? He said,
Is this the same mate of yours that stole the scooter, by the way?
Let me just think.
Who took you up to see the girl who
No,
lived
he
in the
wasn't.
house,
No.
owned by the rich father?
No, it was another one. It was another one,
so
yeah.
Another sort of criminal.
Well, the problem was,
friend of yours.
The problem was, most of my mates went to the local secondary modern, as it was in those days. So they had, they weren't as bright as me, and they had.
So why did you hang around with them?
Well, because they lived near me, but they
Not because you felt superior.
No, not really, no. They had more criminal intent in their mind than I did. I knew that I was going to beat the world through my bonds, but...
Yeah. Why didn't you have any friends at the school you went to?
Well, they didn't live anywhere near me, because they lived all over Cheshire.
They shunned you, didn't they?
No, they lived all over Cheshire.
They shunned you?
No, the King's School Chester was the top school in Cheshire.
Yeah, but you didn't have any friends
and they came from, there were lots of farmers' sons and...
But you were like a fish out of water, that's why they didn't like you.
Not at all. But anyway, the point of the story is... So we were walking past this bike, and it was just down an alleyway at the back of the corner shop. My mate said, my bike's knackered. I said, what happened? He said, I don't know, but I've bent some spokes on my wheel. I said, what are you going to do, get it repaired? He said, no, He said, I'm having that one. And he suddenly walked over, got on the bike, and whoosh, he was away. He'd gone.
And what did you do?
Well, I was panic-stricken because I thought, hang on, I'm now been party to a crime.
Yeah.
And
Another crime.
If anybody's seen that, seriously, if anybody's seen that, I might be accused of stealing the
accessory
bike.
before the fact.
Yeah, so I ran in the other direction, to try and get away.
Because running away is always a good thing to do if you're innocent.
Well, yeah, but I was totally innocent. But I mean, by association, I could have been branded some kind of criminal, so I had to watch it. But anyway, look, quite seriously, this is it's a new crime, and the police are going to.
Well, it's very dangerous, apart from anything else, to be serious for a moment, because some young people have been attacked and some of them have been quite badly hurt.
It's terrible. I think one child has been murdered. Honest to God, I mean that. Because he resisted, and suddenly a knife is produced, and bang. So it's very serious. But all I'm saying is, it's all part of the bike culture, which I think is completely out of hand. I mean, for instance, in London. And I don't know what happens in other cities, but I think it has spread to Durham and Manchester and that kind of stuff. We have these bike racks where people are supposed to put money in and then take a bike and then leave it.
You mean like the Boris bikes?
Yeah, the Boris bikes, but they're not called...
I believe they got them in Manchester.
They've got them in Manchester, have they?
And Glasgow, I think.
But you know what? I drive past the same bike racks going home every morning, Mike, at sort of 5 o'clock. And their bike racks are full of bikes.
Yeah.
So who's using all these bikes?
Well,
nobody uses them.
No, I mean I drive around London a lot, right?
Yeah.
More so probably than you do.
Yeah.
And I walk around London a lot, and lots of people do use them. And I mean, one of the worries about when they use them is when they've come out of the pub late at night.
That's right.
And they just get on one and cycle it home. And what you do see quite a lot of is the bikes being moved, because when they all end up in one particular place, they get these sort of vans to drive them and put them back into places where they've disappeared. I'm not against the Boris bike syndrome, right? The whole situation is not bad.
I'm against cyclists getting more advantages in life than motorists, and I'm against motorists being punished for being, wealthy enough to afford a decent car, and cyclists have this superior attitude that, well, we're the kings of the universe because we save the environment. Right. No, you don't. What environment do you save? You don't save any environment at all. You're expelling all that carbon dioxide out of your lungs, which is filthying up the atmosphere. I'm sorry, there's no difference between the exhaust pipe of a car and the lungs of a filthy smoker.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, absolutely certain.
OK, I'm not sure how many filthy smokers are actually on the bikes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of them, believe me. I know these people.
Another scientific-based factlet from the Porkmeister. This is Talk Sport, more coming up.
No, fantastic song.
The White Album, isn't it?
It says the White Album, John Lennon's Piggies. It's all about, rich people and poor people. You know that...
I presume you were against John Lennon on this one because you were against poor people and on the side of rich people.
No, not at all. John Lennon's...
Well, let me just quote from you earlier on, because somebody tweeted it, texted it actually in 1889. Okay. And this is your quote. Anyone born in a slum is a scumbag.
Well, no,
that was
I didn't
what you
say
said.
That.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
That's what you did. His quote, and he says, "Well done, Mr. Parry. A good way to encourage people to try to better themselves. I forgot that you were born in a stately home, you narrow-minded twonk."
No, not at all. It was.
You said that.
You have to put it in context. You were.
If you were meeting
the
man who cannot be named, he would think you were an absolute and utter snob, and he would be absolutely appalled at the fact that you're his fan.
You accused me of being a slum landlord. And I said, no, I'm not a slum landlord. The trouble with slums is they're full of scumbags, and I don't encourage scumbags. That's what I said. That was in context.
Yeah. Anyone born in a slum is a scumbag.
No, I didn't say that. I have great sympathy for people born in slums. For instance, the Gorbals, in the bad old days with the razor gangs of Glasgow and all that. Right. That was a terrible place to be born.
No, it wasn't.
And yes, it was.
Rubbish.
And
you don't know anything about the Gorbals.
And I have great sympathy for people who are born there, and great respect for those who fought themselves out of those slums.
Oh, yeah.
They were terrible. And slums in the East End of London.
And would you rent your properties to people from slums?
Well, providing they'd improved themselves a bit,
and had some good references.
Yeah, exactly.
So you wouldn't give them a leg up, in other words.
Well, you've got to be very, very careful in life about what you do. They might nick all the furniture.
Yeah. Anyway, all I'm saying, you and he who cannot be named could not be more different in your attitude to the poor.
Well, anyway, look, by the way, just before I tell you why we played that song, Little Piggies and all that, that was, of course, the song that Charles Manson claims inspired him to go on his murdering rampage against the Piggies of Los Angeles.
That's right, yeah.
And killed Sharon Stone, who was...
Who?
It wasn't Sharon Stone. Who was it? No,
Sharon
she's still
Tate.
alive. Sharon Tate, that's right.
Tate.
Yeah, Sharon Tate. Yeah, murdered Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate's still. Sharon Tate was Roman Polanski's wife.
Exactly, the wife of Roman Polanski, and carrying his child. I mean, it was a horrendous crime. And Manson's still in jail, of course.
I can't believe you managed to make something funny out of Charles Manson.
No, well, you don't, do you? He wasn't a very funny man. He wasn't really. He was a mass murderer.
He's still alive as well.
He is still alive. He's in jail. Yeah. But anyway, look, the point of the story is the reason we played that is because, believe it or not, I've been approached by certain people.
Have you?
Who want to expand the pork scratchings industry.
What, you mean a business venture?
Well, I can't say too much. You know, it's investment policy and all that kind of stuff. But who want to extend the pork scratching industry into southeast of England.
Now, it's very, very strange that you should say that, because apropos of nothing,
Go on.
Mark has tweeted a picture saying, I thought you should have a couple of bags of these bad boys, and he's sent me this, Mr. Porky.
Oh, well, there you go, pork scratchings, you see.
So
now,
there's already a company selling Mr. Porky pork scratchings.
Well, there you go. I can't say which brand has approached me, but...
It's not them, though, presumably.
Well, I can't say. But the point is, I did, in a little trail for our show tonight, say, you know, the pork scratching industry is to be expanded, so that probably will have prompted that tweet from our listener. What's his name?
Mark.
Mark, well done, Mark, thank you. But anyway, look, point is, there's a big debate on about, first of all, how healthy are pork scratchings. Apparently it is literally a bit of pork crackling dipped in fat.
Just in fat, yeah.
Is that right?
Well, I suppose
And salt,
I mean,
apparently.
you know, when I grew up in London, right, and I never seen anything like a pork scratching in my life until I went to university in the West Country. When I went to Bath, every single pub in Bath had pork scratchings, and I thought they were rather good.
Oh, there's one company...
What do you mean, oh?
Yes, I said, right, okay. Thanks for that bit of information.
No, you just went, like, I don't care.
Well, I'm about to
you've
give
done
you...
it again with that.
No, I'm about to give you a more important piece of information.
Okay.
There is a company based in Wigan.
Wigan.
I shouldn't really tell you their name, but it's not
No,
the
don't
ones
give
that
the name
approached
away.
me. Well, it's Fresher Foods of Wigan, so I just thought I'd tell you. No, and why are you laughing? What's your problem? You
Well,
see,
because you said you weren't going to give the name away.
well, I did anyway. Look, and the thing
And they
is...
approached Sharon Stone as well.
no, not Sharon Stone, Sharon Tate. Now, the thing is...
They approached Sharon Tate.
No, well, they
don't get
haven't.
very far with that, are they?
No, exactly. You're so convoluted in your conversations. Honestly, I find it really difficult to keep my my thread of thought.
I know.
But anyway, the point is, Fresher Foods of Wigan are pushing into the southeast, right?
Okay.
And that is a fantastic base to start from. Wigan's a wonderful town.
I've never been to Wigan.
I have. Rugby league town, all that kind of stuff.
Not much of a football town now, is it?
The dark satanic meals, as George Orwell described them. Hey?
Dark satanic meals.
Mills, you fool. And
That's like something you would eat.
And the point is, what they've got to do is they've got to try and turn the southern palate into liking pork scratchings.
Well, I think they may be a bit late and $1 short, actually, because there's plenty of pubs now in London that have pork scratchings.
Well, yeah, but not very good ones. These are genuine northern ones, you see. What they're saying is the genuine northern pork scratching is far superior to any plastic pork scratching produced in the south.
Okay. So do you think you might become the sort of the face of these things then?
Well, I can't say too much. But I mean, the point is, you know, my nickname is Porky or Porkmeister or something like that. I have an association with that word. And as the first word of pork scratchings is pork, you can see the obvious connection.
All right, let me read you a couple of tweets here.
Yeah?
William, in fact, that's the nicest thing you've said about anywhere for a long time. You're talking about Wigan.
Great place.
William says, backpackers, smokers, cat owners, cyclists, Venezuelans, Blackburn, mad people in California. Who else for Mike Parry to insult?
Well, you know, I think that's a little bit unfair.
And Robert says, hey, tell Porky that Piggies was a George Harrison song, hence his vocals. Plonker.
Helter Skelter, actually, was the song on the White Album that Manson tried to cite.
Yeah.
But
he also did use the word piggies.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, he did use the word piggies, yeah. But anyway, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much indeed for pointing that out. I didn't know that was a George Harrison song.
Well,
Piggies.
apparently he was singing it.
Have you seen... Yeah, it sounds like his voice. Yeah, that's absolutely
there you
true.
Go. Freddie says, are you staying at Porky's Pad when you do the Pompey gig? Better book a hotel just in case you reneges on the offer like the last time.
Actually, we have booked the hotels through the company.
Have you booked a hotel? Good.
Yeah, do you know how much your room's costing for one night?
No idea.
£167.
Well, you got me a cheap one.
Yes,
That's disgraceful.
Absolutely.
What on earth were you thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't have any sweets left. Well,
Shocking.
they did, but I decided you weren't worth it.
Okay,
so,
thank you very much.
so there we are.
Cav says, when Porky says he's from Stockbroker Belt, does he mean Stockbroken Belt?
No, I don't. I mean Stockbroker Belt. You know, it's where all the stockbrokers live. You know, it's the most affluent area of the country.
Okay.
South Surrey.
Right, Marty
More
says
Rolls
this.
Royces there than anywhere else in the world.
And those nice Ferraris with horrible number plates.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Those bikes, says Marty, have just been introduced here in Belfast. The first night I saw one being thrown off the Albert Bridge.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Into the Lagan, is that right? The Lagan?
Lurgan, isn't it?
It was a Lurgan, wasn't it? L-A-G-A-N, that's not right, is it?
The lawn.
Is it the Larn?
That's the Larn, if it's spelt like that.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And Matt says, Porky the Tory man against the establishment. Don't make me laugh.
What? Nothing Tory about me. I'm completely apolitical, let me tell you. By the way, talking about Tories, right, and being apolitical, and I totally am.
Or even apolitical.
Apolitical, that's right. I find it astonishing that there's going to be a rail strike next Monday and Tuesday.
Yes, well, that's going to hurt a lot of football fans because, of course the playoff between Preston North End and Swindon, I think, is taking place on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday afternoon, 3 o'clock kickoff. And even before the strike, it turned out that there wasn't going to be a train for anyone to get from Preston back, down and back, or even from Swindon down and back.
I know.
For a 3 o'clock kickoff.
I know, but it's not just football fans. They're a very small proportion of people who travel on trains on bank holidays. I mean, to wreck the travel plans and aspirations of millions of people is, in my view, very, very unkind.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And unnecessary. Now,
but this is what happens, isn't it? Whenever the Tories get in,
hang
suddenly
on.
there's a whole bunch of striking going on.
Let me just tell you what's going on.
By the way, I made a mistake there. Apparently, Monday is Middlesbrough against Norwich,
right?
Whereas Sunday, in fact, is the other game I was talking about.
Yeah, but it still might be difficult to get home because
it will be now because there's going to be no trains Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
I was about to say, if a strike starts Monday, all the train lines close down on Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Now, what I was going to say was, look, I don't get this. If we have a democratically elected government, which the Tories are, with a majority, so it's not even a hung government,
right.
Why can't the other side accept that they've been beaten and then go away and try and improve what they've got to offer to try and win government next time round?
Well, I mean,
why can't they do that?
The unions now, and this is where you and I will be accused of being, mad right-wingers, which, of course, we're not. The unions now will be doing their absolutely level best to sort of bring the government down, because that's what they see as their role.
I think it's disgraceful. It's undemocratic.
Meanwhile, as if that wasn't enough for them, they're also trying to destroy the Labour Party from within, because they've already said to anyone in the Labour Party, if you try and take this party back to the Blairites, you're not going to get our support.
But see, what I don't understand is this. We had 3 consecutive Labour governments under Tony Blair.
Yeah.
And it was a total of 13 years, wasn't it, Labour government?
And then Gordon Brown.
Now, I don't remember the what you might call the symbols of conservatism. So, for instance, big business, or the banks, or the advertising agencies. I don't remember them all going on strike in protest against the Labour government.
No.
They lost heavily. I mean, they lost in huge landslides, 118 seats and all this kind of stuff. But I don't remember the symbols of conservatism, of tourism.
Well, I don't know what they are, though.
Well,
I mean, who would go on strike? I mean, what are the symbols of conservatism?
Well, I've just told you, sort of big business, the banks, the advertising agencies, all these kind of people.
Right.
I don't remember them suddenly saying, right, we're withdrawing our Labour because we disagree with the outcome of the election. It's a bit of a one-way street,
Is this going to make it difficult for you to get into work on Monday and Tuesday?
On Monday and Tuesday, not at all. Not at all. Why should it?
Well, hopefully it won't, because of the times at which we have to travel. But I mean, it's going to make life very difficult for a lot of people.
That's what I mean.
People going away for bank holiday weekend.
I think it's very unkind that you're making a political statement because of your own personal views, and it is really the personal view of a handful of people who run the unions in this country and inconvenience millions of people.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
What?
Just seen an image, on one of our internal monitors, right?
Yeah, on television.
Of a bloke standing on a glass floor, 22 floors above London.
Where's that? We should go there.
Not for me, thank you. Get vertigo.
Is there a bar? Is there a bar there?
Well, there would be somewhere, I suppose.
Because where there is a bar now, we must take you. Not the Shard, because I think the Shard has got so ridiculously expensive now that it's not
not only that, you have to queue up for 40 minutes to get in.
No, you don't. No, rubbish.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
I tried it.
No, because you were in the wrong queue.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You were in the observation deck queue.
No,
That's
it
for
wasn't.
plonkers
No,
and
it wasn't.
tourists.
No,
if you want to go into the bar, you go into the Shangri-La Hotel main door.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
And there's no queue at all.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, right.
So, try not to behave like a tourist. But, the walkie-talkie building, which is across the river.
Yes, I do.
There's now a bar at the top of that.
How do you know that?
Because I read about it the other day.
Oh, have you been up there?
I haven't yet, no. But I thought I might take you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
If you don't mind putting a suit on.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Try not to look like a tourist.
I think that's a good idea. I think we'll get up there. The problem is that these high-rise bars and all that, they get more and more. What's the word I'm looking for? Daring.
Expensive.
No, daring.
Yeah.
So all these glass floors now are being introduced all over the place.
Yeah.
I can't.
They've got one over the Grand Canyon now. Have you seen that one?
Oh,
which is
forget
like
it.
which like protrudes out about sort of 200 feet.
Forget it.
It's a glass platform.
Forget it. And the one that really got me one time, and I didn't even know it had a glass floor, is I got into a lift once on I thought what was the inside of a hotel.
Oh, they do that a lot in the States, don't they?
No, this is in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But not only did it go into the outside of the hotel, not only did it have a glass floor, but it actually leaned 45 degrees to the left as it went up the side of the building.
Oh, God.
It's that triangular building in Frisco.
The Bank of America building.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And,
that's the one that's on stilts.
It is.
And it's on skis, actually, isn't it?
It is. It was the most shocking
What were you
experience
going
of my
up there
life.
for?
Sorry?
What were you going up there for?
I don't know. I was going to... I think it was a bar. There was
a bar at the top of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
see,
yeah.
when I was there, it was in the middle of an earthquake, and so none of that stuff was actually operational.
Oh, I see. Well, why would you go to San Francisco in an earthquake, you fool?
Well, I was covering it. I got
see.
sent there.
Oh, right. I thought you just thought...
I got a phone
this is
call in the middle of the
interesting.
night. Do you think I went there for the earthquake?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Plonker.
Yeah, well, it was an earthquake. Let's go and have a look what's
And the
happening.
worst thing was, I got there, right? I arrived at the airport, and I went to get a car rental place. Didn't have any cars at all.
No, well, I'm not
I
surprised.
should have told him I was that girl from The Guardian.
That's
shouldn't I?
right,
What was
yeah.
her name? Helen Parry.
No, Brenda.
Brenda Parry, yeah. I should have told her I was Brenda.
That was very big news today, by the way. Mull Moore. That's
I
where
know.
Charles went today. Where...
That's enough for me now.
Yeah.
2 days is
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, I agree.
The first day with Jerry Adams, fine. Second
agree.
day, I think it was a bit too much.
I
Anyway,
agree.
so then I got into Fisherman's Wharf, where I'd been booked into the Sheraton, right?
Yes.
And when I checked in, they gave me my key card for the room, and they handed me a torch. And I said, what's that for? They said, we haven't got any electricity.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, well, you've got electricity down here. And
Bit
they said,
harsh,
oh, yeah,
that.
we've got a special generator down for the lobby.
Right.
But I'm afraid in your room we have no electricity.
What, you had to spend the night in your room without lights?
I had to spend 2 nights there without lights.
Blimey, it's terrible. I'll tell you what happened that
You don't
night.
care, do you?
I do, because I was going to tell you. I remember that earthquake, right? What
Was it
happened
at the
was,
time, by the way?
I was the boss of the Daily Express at the time.
Yeah.
The
What do you mean you were the boss of the Daily
Well,
Express?
it's the news editor. It's all intents and purposes.
No,
you were the
it
boss.
was 1989, it was.
Yeah, that's right. I was. And anyway, I was lying
That
in
was
bed
before you went mad.
because it was about 2 a.m. And all of a sudden, the phone went. Because in those days, mobile phones weren't big. People were still ringing each other at home on home telephones.
Well, mobile phones actually were huge, weren't they?
Yeah. So anyway, the phone went, and I picked it up, and it was the night news editor, Terry.
I remember
Right,
Terry,
do you remember, Terry, you spoke like this.
Yeah, news desk, he used to say.
News desk, yeah. And anyway, all I could hear at the end of the phone was, oh, Mike, are you doing? The bridges
He
are
wasn't that
down.
bad.
He was terrible. He was very excited about this
Yeah, he
story,
was, yeah.
and he'd never done a big story before. The bridges are down. I said, where? I said, where is this happening? Is this in London? No. I couldn't get out of him where it was. It was San Francisco. And I said, have you sent anybody? What? I said, well, you're a news editor. It's a story. Have you sent anybody over there to... Oh, the bridges. Because he'd seen images of these bridges collapsing, all these cars going into the river,
Yeah, that's right.
He was very excited.
Yeah,
Very
we're going to
exciting
the sea,
times.
actually. Yeah, it was a very exciting story to cover, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, as I say, there was
Not for the people in the cars that were falling off the bridges.
Well, not for the journalists in the hotels with no electricity either.
Oh, well, come off. That's a slight inconvenience to drowning after your car's been shaken off the Golden Gate Bridge, isn't it? That's not
He's
funny,
Mike Parry.
really, is it?
No, it's not really, no. There's some amazing things to laugh at in that hour. This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes. There will be a podcast coming out in a few hours' time, probably about 5 hours from now, actually. A couple of texts and tweets to read out to Mr. Parry. Here's one from Kent Milky. He says, hey, Porky, have you won any meat in the pub raffle lately? It's all gone a bit quiet.
No, I haven't entered the pub raffle lately. I only do that when I'm over that way, if I've walked over that morning or whatever. And I thought I was pushing my luck anyway.
Yeah.
You
Winning
know,
it twice in a month was
Yeah.
a bit harsh. Really.
Twice in 2 weeks.
Twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, £2 of sausage, which I gave to you
Yeah,
one week.
yeah.
Shoulder of lamb, which I gave to my sister and brother-in-law the next week, which lasted them 3 nights.
Really?
Including a Sunday lunchtime dinner party.
Yeah.
Monday night...
Must have been a hell of a size of a lamb.
It was.
been pumped full of steroids.
No, of course not. A lamb stew and Tuesday night a lamb curry. How
Lamb
about
curry,
that?
very
Not-
nice.
Not bad at
now,
all.
Russ in Birkenhead, a
Birkenhead,
fellow
a fine
traveller
place.
of yours, says, Sharon Tate, Helter Skelter, Piggies, 1968. Porky, do you own one of the original numbered copies of the White Album that has the vinyl access from the top of the sleeve and not the side?
No, I don't. No,
I don't either.
No. In fact, I haven't even got my original copy of the White Album. Mine now is on a CD.
Do you know, funnily enough, I never actually bought the White Album.
Oh, I
but
did.
I only ever had one of the LPs because I used to go to a shop in Holloway to buy albums, right, when I was
Second-hand?
at school. No, not second-hand shop. It was just a kind of a cut price shop.
Right.
And I used to quite like to go there after school sometimes. And I
Right.
went to buy a copy of Band on the Run. And when I got Band on the Run home, they, by mistake, had put in the side, the first LP of the White Album.
Really?
So I recorded it onto a cassette like you did in those days.
Oh, I see.
Took it back,
You took it back.
got the Band on the Run. But I never ever got the disc 2.
So have you never heard this too?
Yeah, I have, because I later bought it on CD.
Right, I see, yeah,
But I never
okay.
actually bought the White Album as an album.
Very interesting. Look, we're going to make tonight's show.
I know you don't mean that's very
Yes,
interesting.
no,
at all.
it is interesting.
Just telling your voice.
No, because the Beatles is one of my passions in life.
I know.
You know
You
that.
got 3
No.
out of 10 in a quiz.
No, I didn't. No. Now, listen, we're going to make this a Raheem Sterling-free area tonight. Do you
Are we?
agree?
Okay.
We've just talked far too much
Well,
about it.
and the story's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere, so forget it. But
Yeah.
listen, there are developments in the old transfer market. For
Yes.
instance, they're saying, now, Theo Walcott, when he came on after 69 minutes in that game last night,
Yeah.
right, Arsenal-Sunderland, he changed the pace and the persuasion of Arsenal.
And what was the
isn't
score?
0-0.
Yeah.
But
what did he do?
Who had the two best chances on goal?
What was the score?
From exactly the same position on the right as he was burning up.
What was the score?
It was 0-0. I keep telling you that, but he had the two best efforts on goal, and in my view, changed it. If he'd been on from the start, it would have been 2 or 3-0.
Really?
So this is why I'm interested to read this story in tomorrow morning's, or this morning's, I should say, Sun. Rob Beasley,
Right.
Theo or Oxford Czech. Chelsea want Theo Walcott or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in return for Peter Cech. So Jose said to Alan Brazil when he interviewed him up at the Cobham training ground this week,
Oh, yes.
I can't stop Peter Cech leaving. If he goes to Arsenal,
Yeah.
it's out of my hands.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's clearly going to exact some sort of revenge by taking either Oxlade-Chamberlain or Theo Walcott.
Don't you see, though,
to Chelsea.
and I know that you're a student of these things and you know
Yes,
how
I
these
am.
things
I am.
work, you know, in terms of agents and the way
Yes.
that they talk up their players. I mean, Theo Walcott has now been mentioned in several dispatches, you know, that he might be going to Chelsea.
No, he won't go to Liverpool.
He might be going to Liverpool.
He won't go to Liverpool.
He might have gone to Manchester City. You know, I mean, he seems to be being talked up an awful lot. And whenever that happens, I always wonder whether it's just a lot of agents talking and trying to, you know, bulk up the size of the
I'm sure
transfer
it is.
fee.
The agent situation is changing dramatically. FIFA have now washed their hands of control of agents. Whereas you used to give a £100,000 bond before you could be registered
now they're
as a
saying
football
anyone can
agent.
be an agent.
£500.
Well, I said that, do you remember a few weeks ago when they announced that? And I said,
Yeah.
I think I fancy becoming a football agent.
If you give the FA £500
Yeah.
now, you can become a football
Because
agent.
all you really need is one player.
Yeah,
You
exactly. Yeah, and there's so many players around these days trying to get into football from, you know, the third world, from South America, from some African nations. You can just deal with them. Now, another football issue I want to talk to you
I
about
want
is
to talk to
this.
you about cricket briefly. I
Go
know
on.
we don't
Yeah,
talk
go
about because, to be fair, the Kevin Peterson issue should be closed as well.
Yes, it should, yeah.
But I have to respond to you because last week, in fact, when the stories came out in the back pages that Alistair Cook had apparently said it's me or him, and you said that the body of evidence on your side to keep Kevin Peterson out of the team was now building.
Yes.
Kevin Peterson's story now has changed again because Alistair Cook has given an interview to the Express in which he says, actually, I never said that. It was KP or me. So in fact, your position is now back to being the weaker position. I
No,
would
it's
say.
not. No. He's backtracking.
No, he's not backtracking.
He's backtracking.
He's denying that he ever said it.
Backtracking.
He's denying that he ever
That's
said
what we
it.
call backtracking.
Yeah, all right.
Now, do you know who Missy, that's her first name, Missy Bakary is?
Missy
Bakary.
No idea.
Right. Well, it was the United dinner last night, wasn't it? Not last night, night before.
When Louis van Gaal made his
I should tell you
speech about the saxophone.
Yeah, I think the saxophone player very good. I think she deserves a round of applause. And she then became worldwide hit on Twitter. Do you know that? Because
No, I
that's what
didn't.
Louis van Gaal said. Anyway, the point is, another person who turned up was Manchester United's third choice goalkeeper.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's ever heard of him. Anders Lindegaard.
Anders Lindegaard, I've heard of him.
Well, I've heard of him as well, actually. But he's
I've heard of Anders
he's
Lindegaard.
United's third choice goalkeeper these
Nobody's
days.
never heard of him then.
Well, what I'm saying is, nobody's seen him playing goal for an awful long time because he's Manchester United's third choice
Well, he must
goalkeeper,
have
right?
played- I bet he played this season.
He may have done, but if he has, it's only once or twice. Now, the point
I'm
is,
not very convinced by your argument.
he's got this girlfriend, right? She's super wag. Her name is Missy Bakary.
Oh, yeah.
And she is very, very beautiful girl. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
And she's Swedish.
Yeah.
And she's a model, which you would imagine. She does racy lingerie and
Really?
bikini shots.
Does
yeah.
she?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, lots of footballers are married to lingerie models.
Yeah,
aren't
but
they?
hang on, this is the point of the story. Did you not see the picture of her the other night when she got up on the podium with Anders Lingard? She was wearing a black suit,
Yeah.
so the trousers very tight, the
Yeah.
high heels,
Yeah.
a black jacket,
Yeah.
but underneath the black jacket there was nothing.
Right.
There was no blouse,
Right.
no brassiere,
No brassiere?
no, just the black jacket folded across her ample bosom,
Ample bosom.
displaying
Right.
a large amount of flesh.
Are you sure she wasn't wearing a bra that you couldn't see?
No, she definitely wasn't.
Oh, I see,
Believe
yeah.
me.
Blimey.
Have you got the picture?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, yeah.
Exactly, and what I'm saying is she's now become a
It's
sensation.
not a great look, I have to say.
Say again?
It's not a great look.
Well, I think it's rather coarse.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, I say
She's a very beautiful young woman.
she's a very beautiful young woman. I think it's rather coarse.
But I
and-
think it's a bit
what-
after the Lord Mayor's show, if you don't mind me
well,
saying so.
what I have to say is this, and this is the whole point of my story, right? But I had to give you the background to
Yes.
it. If that lady was my girlfriend and I
Yeah.
took her out and she turned up like that, I would send her home.
Would you?
And I would probably have to get rid of her.
You once sent
because-
a woman home from the Express newsroom for wearing a skirt that was too short, didn't
Well,
you?
you reminded me of that, and I denied it at the time.
you
But
did.
on reflection, I've thought about it, and I did actually.
No.
I said, I can't send you to interview anybody, particularly somebody who's important in this country, wearing a skirt like that. It's
But
embarrassing.
didn't you think that in some ways it would be a good way to get an interview with somebody?
No, it was undignified. You know?
think?
And I think this is undignified because you quite rightly say, it's not really even sexy. It's just exhibitionist, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that particular look that Anders
Yeah.
Lindegaard's girlfriend has,
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think you would walk around the street dressed like that. would you?
I just
But it's
think...
not for us to be in any way prudish about
I
these
tell you
things.
what happened once. Katie Price came in here, right?
Yeah.
She came in here because she was promoting her new book.
Okay.
And I happened to be the program director at the time, and I was in the program director's office.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
they brought...
Did she come in as Katie Price or Jordan?
Came in as Jordan, I think, in those days.
Yeah.
So anyway, she did her interview and all that, and then she came round. I said, and of course, I bought her a bunch of flowers.
Of course.
But-
Well, actually,
and-
you'd sent somebody out to buy her a bunch of
Yes,
flowers.
that's precisely true.
Yeah.
Now, she'd done 6 interviews that day, and she was overwhelmed
Yeah.
because she said, oh... what she said was,
What did
you
she
know...
say?
Oh... you know... what's wrong with that?
Well, didn't talk like that.
She did. Because she was overwhelmed because she'd done 6 interviews she'd done 5 previous interviews at TV and radio stations.
Yeah.
Nobody had offered her even a cup of tea, let alone a bunch of flowers.
See, that's the trouble, isn't it? People have
Yeah.
forgotten a good old-fashioned manners.
Exactly. And I said, Kate,
Did you say to her that she thought she was dressed appropriately or not?
well, this is the very point I was about to say to you. And I said, it's so good of you to come see us. Thanks very much indeed. We're big admirers of yours and you've done a wonderful job and you're a great model and we'd like you to accept these on behalf of TalkSport. Oh. And then I said, come in anyway, sit down.
Oh, yeah.
And she kept standing and didn't say anything. She didn't speak. And I said, and I was
Did she
talking.
not have like an entourage with her as well?
Yeah, she had 2 or 3 people with her, yeah. And I kept asking her questions like, how's things, how's job, how's work, what do you do next, do you do any modelling? Nothing. She wouldn't speak.
wouldn't answer
She
you.
didn't speak. But the question I said every third question was, why don't you sit down to try and make her feel more comfortable? Anyway,
Sounds like a terribly awkward situation.
it was so awkward because she had like a very, very short skirt on. I mean, very short, denim skirt.
Yeah.
And I was told later by one of her assistants she didn't have any underwear on.
Really?
So she couldn't sit down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was a bit of a difficult situation.
1/3 of your heart that was working.
No.
Well-
Funny enough, that was before my heart collapsed.
Was it?
Now, whether or not it had anything to do with it, the fact that I just met Jordan in a state of disrobement, of which I wasn't aware, and I kept asking her to sit down on the chair, which would have embarrassed her.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was a difficult moment.
Yeah.
I had to be very, very diplomatic.
So how did you manage to then shuffle her out of the office when she had decided never to answer any of your questions?
Oh, she just decided to go. She just decided that, this man...
She wasn't overwhelmed by the Parry charm.
I don't believe she
Did
was.
you offer her a first-class ticket back to wherever she came from?
No, because...
Or, possibly a bottle of champagne at the American bar of the Savoy?
No, I didn't. No,
Really?
because she's the sort of lady who could probably afford to buy the train she was travelling on.
Exactly.
Let alone need a first-class ticket.
So you were a bit intimidated by the sounds of it. Never mind.
A little bit.
He is Mike
I
Parry.
have a picture of the meeting if you want to see it.
I'd like to see it.
Yes,
along
okay.
with a picture of Joe Collins, Bill Clinton, and all the other people
Yes,
you claimed to have
absolutely.
pictures of.
Yep.
This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
You're just like Swiss Tony from the Fast Show. Fine wines and Belgian chocolates.
Yeah? Is that right? From which show?
The Fast Show.
Fast show.
You must have seen the Fast. You've never seen the Fast Show?
No, I haven't, no.
Dear God.
What is it? Is it a comedy?
Yes.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
You know why we're playing Love is the Drug
No,
there?
why are we playing that?
Well, that was a great song, that Brian Ferry, wasn't it? And that was in the sort of 70s, wasn't it? Late 70s, mid-70s,
I would
something like
say,
that. Yeah, Love is the Drug. And I love the line in that. It's, da fire, I take my place in the singles bar.
That's right, yeah.
I thought, that's great.
Yeah,
That's just
and
me.
Roxy Music, of course, are very famous
Oh,
for
Roxy
using
Mu-
for using lingerie models on all their album covers.
Well,
Remember?
mostly Jerry Hall. Who
Yeah,
was,
she was on a couple of them, yeah.
Well, she was Brian Ferry's girlfriend.
Before Mick Jagger nicked her.
Yeah, before they went to a party, Mick Jagger
Morals
was there.
of an Alley Cat.
Morals of an Alley Cat. And by the way, Eric Clapton had a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who it was now. I can't remember. I tell you what, I think it was literally the girl who married the
one who
French
married-
president, Sarkozy.
Oh, what, Carla Bruni?
Carla Bruni, I'm
Yeah.
sure it was her.
Well, she was quite a few people's girlfriends at various
I'm
points.
sure she was Clapton's girlfriend, and they went to a party, and Jagger walked in, and Clapton, according to the book I read, said, look, mate, I'm sorry, I'm really keen on this one, please, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And 3 days later, Carla Bruni was with Mick Jagger.
Yeah, because she went out with him as well.
That's right. But anyway, there
I
you go.
once doorstepped Carla Bruni, actually, in New York when she was going out with Jagger.
Really?
Yeah, she lived down in Soho somewhere.
Anyway, look, the reason we're playing that is
Yes.
because doctors have now found out, right,
Yeah.
that love is a drug. There's a drug called oxytocin.
Oxytocin, yeah.
Oxytocin, commonly referred to as the love or cuddle hormone.
Yeah.
Because it's rolling
Well,
forming
it's not really
bonds.
a drug as such. It's something that's in your
Yeah,
body,
that's
isn't
what
it?
I'm saying. Between lovers of parents and children, calms anxieties and increases trust. But this guy at the University of Birmingham, right,
yeah.
fine town, We're talking about going back there to another show, by
Yeah,
the
we
way,
may well
November.
do, yeah.
And his name's Ian Mitchell. He says that he's got the answer to the drug equation, if you see. Sorry, to the love equation.
Oh, yeah.
Right, songwriters.
Isn't this the same stuff that you get from chocolate?
Yeah.
Because they say that women sometimes find chocolate and love kind of difficult to distinguish between, because the feeling that they get from chocolate is because it stimulates the oxytocin in the brain.
Yeah, it's even more involved than that. Oxytocin, right, it has its darker side, according to a review of this evidence. It says the love hormone, oxytocin, can be as ugly as it can be beautiful. It affects all sorts of things in your body that any other addictive drug would, and it brings on increases in aggression, jealousy, boastfulness and bravery.
Really?
So,
Doesn't that depend on whether it's male or female, though?
Well, no, it doesn't. It depends whether you're feeling up or down. So if you see your girl suddenly in the arms of another man, it brings on aggression and jealousy.
Right.
If, however, you feel that you've got the girl that everybody else is after, boastfulness and bravery.
Yeah. And you've, generally speaking, always been on the one side of that, not the other. I mean, you've never had a girlfriend taken from you, have you?
Never. Why would any girl leave
Does that not
me?
surprise you?
No.
Because it's normal behaviour. It happens to a lot of people.
No. Let me tell you, Mike.
It's nothing to do with whether or not you're the greatest man that ever walked the earth.
No lady has ever left me. I've always had to part from them.
Well, you've never stayed long enough because you fear intimacy, as I pointed out to you before.
No, it's nothing to do with that. The point is, what I'm saying is that I've had to let them down gently, or sometimes had to be quite brutal about it.
Yeah.
Girl followed me to New York once, and when she got there, and she didn't tell me she was coming, I wouldn't let her in my apartment.
Well, you wouldn't let her in?
No, I wouldn't let her in, no.
Well, why not?
Well, because
Did you have somebody in there already?
No, I didn't, but I'd started a relationship with somebody else in New York, and I simply couldn't get involved. And the point was, I was roundly berated by my colleagues the next day, saying, what, she flew all the way from London to see you? I said, well, she didn't tell me she was coming.
Right.
I said, what am I supposed to do? I said, if on that basis, I'd be home for waifs and strays who fly in from London and think that they can come and seize the Porkmeister, you know what I mean?
On the other hand, you could have just shown her the milk of human kindness and said, well, you
I
can
couldn't.
stay here for the night, fly back tomorrow.
No, I couldn't. She was manic and
was
you
she
know,
a bit mad?
Well, she wanted to know whether I was seeing anybody else in New York and all this kind of stuff.
Well, what were the circumstances under which you left?
Oh, I was going out with her and I left London.
Well, did you tell her you were going to New York?
Yeah, of course I did, yeah. I mean, that was when I was first posted there. So I said, don't worry, I'll give you a call, you'll come over and see
So
me.
you were lying to her, basically?
I was lying, but I didn't mean to lie. Just when I got to New York, found it so exciting. And
So how long had you been there then?
Oh, probably 3 months.
So 3 months later she came to find you?
Yes, that's right, yeah, absolutely. But there were so many
so
girls.
Clearly you hadn't explained to her what the situation was.
So many girls I wanted to see in New York. I did.
You just forgot about her?
Yeah, I thought it'll just fizzle out.
So you left England, she thought she was still your girlfriend?
Yes, very much so.
And
thought
3 months later,
Yeah.
she was beside herself with anxiety.
Yeah.
So she decided she'd have to come and see you.
Yes, that's right.
And you wouldn't let her in?
No. And
absolute heartless scoundrel you are.
She ended up in the bar at the end of the road there, because in the part of New York I lived in, the Upper East Side, there was a bar on every corner, and I wouldn't even go to the bar and have a drink with her. No.
That's
appalling. I didn't want anything to do. Well, no, because I decided I had a new way, a new life. Her name was Susan.
Susan what?
Well, I can't say that because that would be a bit unfair, wouldn't
Really?
it? But in fact, actually, I can't even remember what her name was. But it was definitely Susan.
Just as well I wasn't there. I would have looked after her.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure you would have done. Yeah, absolutely.
But my point is that most men and most women have had at some point or other in their lives a girlfriend or a boyfriend who has been, taken away from them one way or another.
Yes. Well,
it happened to me.
Sorry?
It did happen to me.
What happened to you?
Well, it's happened to me. I mean, I've had girlfriends who decided to go off with somebody else.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Why?
I think you have an appalling attitude towards
not true, no.
The loyalty factor you're supposed to have towards women.
Not at all.
You cheat on everyone you've ever gone out with.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, not true.
It is true. It's absolutely true. And
No.
I'm sorry if that offends your current partner in life, but she needs to know your background.
thanks
She needs to
very
know
much
what a louse you are.
Thank you very much.
You are a louse.
I don't think you've got really any leg to stand on this one.
I think I have.
Now, talking about louse or otherwise, talking about people who are very, very wealthy, what about Lewis Hamilton and his new contract?
£100 million?
He's now Britain's best paid sportsman.
Do you know, if they pay that money up front, and I think sometimes these stars do demand the money up front, they say, I'm not
I think it's something like $47 million a year, isn't it?
$47 million.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's pounds or dollars. It might be euros, actually.
It could be euros. I don't think it's that much. I thought it was 100 million. Anyway, the point is they often...
It's an awful lot of money.
They often demand an awful lot up front, right? So I was thinking, if you got 100 million up front... which is not
£100 million, a 3-year deal. There you go.
That's right, yeah. Which and they don't say, we'll have 33 million a year. They want the money up front.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of the contract. Right. So if Lewis Hamilton went and put that in a bank, right, even at the very low sort of interest rates of today's bank rates, he'd probably get about 7%, I'm told, right?
Where would you get 7% from? Nobody else would get 7%.
On that, such a huge amount of money, you would, apparently. You
All right.
put it into some sort of institution in the city or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So if you got 7 million a year back on it, so you wouldn't have to touch the original capital anyway, would you, really?
No.
And out of that, you would probably have to pay about 2.5 million.
Well, in his case, probably he doesn't pay anything because he lives
He's in Monaco. Yeah, OK, you're absolutely right. So he's got 7 million. So that means that by the end of his contract, it's already worth 121 million pounds or euros or whatever. And the old expression, which my father always used to say to me, money makes money, you know, has never been more true.
No, true.
When you're wealthy, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, for instance, Paul McCartney was valued at 746 million in the Sunday Times Rich List. Well, that in itself, at 5%, take a modest 5%, would be 35 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, what do these guys do with all this money?
know.
What do you do with 35 million?
I mean,
which, again, you're probably not paying tax on because it's probably in some tax haven somewhere,
You can't
which
spend it, can you?
I support. You know, you've every right to protect your money from mad politicians who waste it, you know?
Well, I mean, some would say that Lewis Hamilton, because he is a British sort of sporting superstar, maybe now, because he's managed to save so much money by not paying tax for years, should come back and pay a bit of tax here.
Well, they always said that about Sean Connery. You know, the greatest Scotsman never to live in Scotland, but, you know, always telling everybody else how to live their lives in Scotland. But he's out
in the West Indies, isn't he?
No, he's in the Bahamas.
He's in the Bahamas?
In the Bahamas. He lives in the Bahamas, yeah. But listen, talking about very rich people, right, again...
We've seen the time, by the way.
Yeah, don't worry about
Is
the
there
time.
enough time to tell the story?
I think there is time to tell this story. It's a great story. Mark Zuckerberg, now he's the man who founded... what did he found? Facebook, was it? Yeah. He now has decided, on this vast estate that he's bought and all that, nobody gets in his house except him and his wife. And you think I'm a bit odd because I don't like people trampling across my carpets and coming and sitting in my roof garden.
That is odd.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg feels exactly the same.
No, he doesn't. He's got a wife.
It says...
Yeah, but he's got a wife, though. He's not there on his own, like some kind of strange creature.
It says...
Let his nails grow and let his hair grow. Like
he's become
the
most antisocial man in Silicon Valley. He lives with him and his wife. He's got a huge estate in Hawaii, and only he and his wife are allowed to go there, nobody else. And where he lives in Silicon Valley, everybody used to say, oh, he lives in a very modest sort of, 4-bedroom house in Palo Alto.
Palo Alto, yeah.
Palo Alto. Apparently, he's bought every house in the area 4 miles around or something, so that he can actually just have his own space and doesn't want anybody anywhere near
nobody
him.
else goes anywhere
so
near him.
So you mock
but
me
he's
all
not
the
sitting
time.
there on his own watching reruns of Coronation Street.
Well, I don't sit there on my own watching reruns of Coronation
what do you
Street.
do?
I get on with life. I do things, but I don't want people trampling across my carpet.
Well, he's got his wife there, though.
I don't want people, using my bathroom and using my towels to wash their hands and all this kind of stuff. Why? Why would you want that?
Well, because it's called human company.
No, it's not. It's strangers. You don't want strangers in the house.
I'm not asking you to go and invite strangers off the street.
Strangers belong on the shore. You heard the expression?
I have heard that. I'm talking about people... I'm talking about just people that you know. I'm not talking about dragging people in from the street.
Shore.
I mean, if you met some woman in a pub, would you not think of bringing her home?
Yes, I might, yes. If he was very,
ample bosomed?
No. An affable and socially correct individual.
Really?
Yes, I might.
You didn't ever tell, though, after a couple of hours in the pub, did you?
Well, life through the bottom of a glass can be tricky at times, Michael. We both know that.
Indeed. Now, I hope you've been boning up on Porky Vision, by the way, because Porky Vision is upon us already. And there's been a lot of people saying that it's not enough modern television in it, so hopefully this week there will be.
Plenty.
Porky Vision coming up next on TalkSport. TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes, and the week is really rushing in, Mr. Parry, because we're already doing Porky Vision, which means tomorrow night it's time for the Porky Quiz, which of course is on the Eurovision Song Contest this week.
Yes, it is, yes.
Extraordinary.
Yes.
Well, I don't know yet if the independent quiz masters have set the questions yet.
Don't worry, I know an awful lot about that subject. Now then, listen, let's do some TV reviews, and people are saying, too much historical stuff. Right, let me bring you right up to date.
Okay.
Now, Mad Men, the last series is underway, okay?
Yes.
And
it's for the final one, isn't it?
It's the final one.
Yeah.
No, I haven't actually seen it because I don't like it. But I thought I should let you know that doing some research today, I found out that according to...
You've never seen any of the episodes at all?
I can't stand it.
Well, there's a woman in it with a very ample bosom. I thought that
Christina
would have been right up your
Hendricks
street.
is my favourite woman in showbiz.
Well, why don't you watch it then?
Well, because you don't see enough of her, if you see what I mean.
I see.
You know, I don't mean that you see enough of her body. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't see enough of her in the
Right.
episodes.
She's
you
not
know.
in very many
No,
scenes.
No,
really.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying about. And also, I think that Don Draper's humorless and all that. Now... what I was going to say to you was, apparently he's been off on an alcoholic trip. Is that right?
I don't know. I've never seen it either.
He's been.
I'm not the TV reviewer.
I think he's been
No
getting
point in asking me.
Yeah, I think he's been.
What do you mean in the show?
In the show, he's been drying out. 'Cause
okay, right.
You know, I mean, by the way, it's called Mad Men 'cause it's based on Madison Avenue.
That's right,
which
yeah.
you and I know very well indeed.
Advertising guys.
That's the advertising centre of New York.
Yes.
But a theory on the net, right, has said that because he was a mad, promiscuous man,
Yes.
like you, actually.
In the show.
In the show.
Nothing like me.
Yeah, you are. You're terribly promiscuous.
Not
You
at
were
all.
in your youth anyway. Well,
No.
come on. You know, the famous story, which I keep having to repeat because
What?
you keep denying it. You went to the marriage guidance
Yeah,
and
but you paint that story in a particularly different light to the actual truth of what happened.
you confessed to having 6 affairs
No,
with
I
6
didn't.
different women.
No,
Yes,
that's
you
not
did.
true. No,
well, in
I
that
didn't.
case, you've been misleading me all these years.
No, I didn't say 6 for a start.
You did say 6.
And it was not at the same time, which is the story that you seem to be pumping out.
Well, I'm sorry. I wanted to concentrate on my TV review, not your
right.
disgusting, lustful life.
Good.
Now, the theory is that during his promiscuous years, he's actually picked up syphilis. So he's
What do you mean, the character?
The character,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
What's his name? Don Draper. That's
Draper,
right.
you
Yeah.
said, yeah.
And as a result, he will now have hallucinations, and this is the explanation for his role.
Hallucinations?
Hallucinations.
What, from the syphilis?
Yeah, you get syphilis, you get hallucinated. Yeah, and this is responsible for his erratic behaviour in the last series.
Do you know what it sounds like, right? So what we're going to then see is what they did to the same thing in Dallas when they ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
It was all a dream. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
all a
that's right,
hallucination.
yeah.
You know, because in the end,
Bobby
when the
came
writers,
out the shower.
When the
Yeah.
writers come up with a sort of dead end
Yeah.
and they can't think of what else to write about,
Yeah.
they just come up with some ludicrous nonsense and,
That's
then,
right.
and then put it all down to the fact that it was somebody's hallucination.
Yeah, but there's a rather nasty storyline in it, and that is that his wife, who's also an inveterate smoker, because in the 60s everybody smoked, didn't they? You know, all the time.
Yeah.
She's got incurable lung cancer.
Deary me.
Yeah, and she's a very pretty woman as well. January Jones.
Oh, yeah.
She's the actress, and she
Okay.
was Don Draper's ex-wife, Betty. So that's all going to end up very sad.
Right.
So just let everybody know that,
Right.
you know...
You haven't given away the ending, have you?
Yeah.
You've given away the ending.
Yeah, I've given away the ending, yeah.
Don't give away the ending. It's like a 12-part series, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But she's going to get lung
All right.
cancer, I'm sorry, and that's going to be really, really bad. Now then,
Heartrending. Now, what else have you been watching?
right, I'll tell you what, I watched this first episode of this utter rubbishy junk
Right.
called, what was it called? Hang on. Wait a minute. It's called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
What's that then?
Well, it's ridiculous. What it is, it's supposed to be a story about magicians.
Uh-huh. Is it a drama, is it?
In sort of 18th century York.
Okay.
Now, York's a beautiful city.
It is, yeah.
York Minster, one of my
yeah.
favourite churches
You've
in
got
the
the
world.
Railway Museum there as well.
You've got the Railway Museum. You've got the Shambles, which is the name of
Yes.
a road. You know what I'm talking
Isn't
about?
that the sort of the pedestrian area?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And this guy lives in the Shambles, right? And he's a magician. He's obsessed with magic. By the way, I'll tell you a story about the Shambles.
Yeah, go on.
There's one house in the Shambles. And
Isn't there a wall around York as well? You can walk around like a
there's a bit of a
city
wall. Not
yeah.
as good as Chester's, actually. But,
No, Chester's is great.
Yeah, but not bad. But anyway, the point of my story is there's a house in the Shambles, because
Yeah.
I've been in it. It's a
Have you?
museum.
Right.
And they used to get rid of witches in there. But you know how they used to get rid of them?
How?
They used to press them to death.
Oh,
Now, do you know what that
yeah,
involved?
I do, yeah.
What they did is
Would they press them on the floor or against a wall?
No, the witch was brought in, and then she was, like, knocked out on the floor,
Yeah.
you know. And then they used to
They put
take...
like a door on top of them. or
No, they
something,
took the door off.
Yeah.
They'd actually take the door off,
Yeah.
you know, the proper door.
Yeah.
Then they put the door on top of her.
Yeah.
Then they invited people walking up and down the Shambles to come in
Yeah.
and stand on it.
Yeah.
Because
Shocking.
she's a witch.
Yeah.
Now, that's a pretty horrible way to go, in my
really
view.
is, yeah, awful.
So that's just the
Did
setting.
they not also have, because in the same way that when they used to do sort of duck them in the water, that they
Yeah.
would have some way of proving that they were a witch, and then basically if they died, they weren't a witch.
No, if they
stayed
died,
alive-
if they drowned, they were innocent. If they floated, they were guilty,
Yeah,
and they
right.
burnt at the stake.
Yeah.
Which is pretty horrible, isn't it?
So what was the kind of way for them to get out of being pressed to death then?
Oh, that was it. Once
That was
you
it.
once you were designated witch, you got flattened, mate. It was the modern day equivalent of being steamrolled.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean.
I can imagine,
You
yeah.
know, but anyway,
Awful.
so these, it's all about magicians. So this guy is a nut magician, and he goes off to get his magic books from the bookseller. When he gets there, he finds that some other magician has come in and offered a higher price and taken the books away.
Okay.
So he traces these books to this guy's house and suddenly finds he is a super magician, right? But where it goes ridiculous is... Now,
is there anybody famous in it?
The one guy in it who is sort of semi-famous is a guy called Jonathan Strange.
Okay.
And he was the guy who played Nick Clegg in that rather good political drama prior to the election called Coalition.
Okay.
Remember?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, I did. It was very good,
Was
actually.
it?
It was very good.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this is ridiculous is because... Have you ever seen Dynamo?
No.
Dynamo's the magician.
I know the magician, yeah.
Yorkshire lad.
Yeah, I've never
Talks
seen him,
like
no.
that, you know,
Yeah.
my name's Dynamo, and ever since I was 8 years of age,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a magician.
Right.
And I practice me craft now, and I reckon I'm the best in the world. And he is very good if you watch his tricks. He does things like he walks on water. He
Yeah,
actually
right.
walked on the River Thames.
Is he like sort of British version of David Blake?
Yes, that's right, yeah. And a police boat actually came up next to him in the Thames while he was standing on the water
saw
and
that
said, what
picture,
are you doing?
yeah.
Yeah, and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
but he's not actually doing that, is he?
Well, who knows?
He's an illusionist.
He's an illusionist,
Well, you
but-
don't really believe that he walks on water.
I've seen his programmes, and I've seen him somewhere near where you live, on the opposite side of the Thames, and say to all these ladies, you know, hello, you having a nice night? Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, I'll make your night for you. See that building over there? That building, yeah. You see, it's green at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, I'll watch this. And he clicks his fingers, and it becomes red.
Right.
And
How do you think he's doing that?
well, there's somebody over there who sees him click his fingers and changes the colour of the
Well, exactly.
building, I suppose, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. But anyway, that's what I'm saying is that's all explicable. What happens here is they go into York Minster, right, these two guys,
Yeah.
and one of them has to prove how magic he is,
Right.
and all the stone gargoyles turn into human beings. And so it's not like, you know...
It's not based on a real story, this, then.
Well, apparently it is supposed to be, you know, but it's ludicrous because we know magic doesn't exist. Magic is trickery.
Yeah.
Magic is
Illusion,
illusionary.
it is.
So when I was in Vienna once and I interviewed Mozart, the statue in the square...
Did you?
Well, it wasn't actually a statue, it was
Did
a
he
man.
answer any more of your questions than Jordan did?
Yeah, he did, actually.
Did
Yeah,
he?
he answered all the questions. I said, hello, how long have you been here? He said, since 1823.
Well, you
because
interviewed a statue.
he was a human being. He was one of those, you know, one of
Well,
those...
he wasn't a statue then, was he?
But you know the human statues, you know,
Yeah.
these people earn a living out of standing
Yeah.
still, and then
Right.
when you go and look at them, they go, oh, like that. And You're
Right.
supposed to die of a heart attack, you
Yeah.
know, from shock and
That
all this
wasn't
kind
good
of
for you
stuff.
with only 1/30 of your heart work.
Wouldn't be good for me, I'm telling you, mate. But anyway, so all the stone gargoyles all turned human. So at that moment, this programme to me completely lost
Yeah.
all credibility.
Right.
Because we know stone can't turn to human.
That's right.
So what's it all about then?
Can human turn to stone, though? That's the question.
Well, you know, on the road to Damascus and all that.
Yeah.
Eh? So,
Wasn't that Tyre and Sidon?
Eh?
Wasn't that Tyre and Sidon?
Tyre and Sidon could have been.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the moment that happened, I thought, well, I'm not watching this because you can't explain stone turning to human.
Yeah, but it's drama, isn't it? It's not meant to be a factual programme.
but what I'm saying is the key fact about magic is it's illusionary.
Yes.
And even the best illusionist in the world cannot turn stone into human beings.
Right.
And that's what, you know, and what's happening, the gargoyles are flying down and flying around the room, then going back and turning
Right.
back into stone. So it's rubbish. Total, utter
Well, it
tosh.
sounds sort of Harry Potter-esque then.
Yeah, a bit like that, yeah. But the whole thing was rubbish and it was stretched out.
So
and-
you don't recommend it?
I don't watch it. Now, there was a
Anything
great...
good to talk about?
Yeah, very good, very good. Let me tell you this. There was a programme on Sky Sports something,
Okay.
1, Sky Sports 2,
Yeah,
something like that.
right.
It was called Le Tis,
Right.
Le God.
Oh, I saw them previewing that.
It was
actually.
absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I watched it twice
Okay.
because it was on once and they repeated it. Okay,
Right.
And it answered one of the questions I've been trying to find out about Matthew Letizia all his life.
Right, what was?
He was asked directly. Did you enjoy being a big fish in a small pond?
Yes.
And he said, "Oh yes, absolutely." Of
course he did.
So what I'm saying is that because he played for Southampton in 3 seasons where they avoided relegation on the last day. Don't you think he might have got a bit fed up with that? You know, in the end, and thought, "I'm going to a bigger club because all sorts of clubs want me." Chelsea wanted him.
Yeah.
I know that because Matthew Harding, who was the co-owner of Chelsea, who was very, very sadly killed in a helicopter crash, like other people we know.
Yeah.
He told me once when I was in Matthew's office, he said, I went to a lunch, he said, and Laurie McMenemy was there, who was then the manager of Southampton.
Yeah.
He said, I wrote him out a cheque for £7 million and said, here, this is for Letizia. Here, you can just take it.
Yeah.
It was from his personal fortune.
Right.
I want Letizia at Chelsea. And Laurie McMenemy went back home and said, I've got a £7 million offer. I've even got the money. He said, don't want to go. Sorry, I'm not interested.
Right.
So he actually enjoyed being a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, he did.
And
There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
well, I think that lacks ambition. I think if you've got the sort of talent he had, and by the way, what talent this programme showed you.
Yeah.
You know, exceptional things like, let's try a new free kick routine. Roll it to Tiss. Tiss will literally flick it up with one foot and then volley it with the next past the goalkeeper and over the wall. Brilliant stuff.
Oh, he was amazing, yeah.
His football talents were just exceptional, you know, and they should have had a bigger stage.
I'm told that he once almost signed for Tottenham, but his girlfriend objected and he had to rescind on the offer.
Well, I didn't see anything about that in this documentary. I just saw him out being Mr. Southampton, but I think he was Mr. Southampton for too long, and I think one of these days, because of this programme showed just how skillful he was, he'll look back and say, maybe I should have gone somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that wouldn't have made him a better footballer.
Of course
he
it
might have
would.
won a few more
Of course
things.
it would. It would have made him a better footballer. He'd have played in Europe against better European footballers. I mean, he had a
but
very...
maybe he didn't want to do that.
He had a very stuttering England career.
Yeah.
And that was because, really, people like Terry Venables, who gave him his chance against Ireland in the game that was abandoned, right, always said, I don't really know where to put him in the team. I don't know what he is, you know, and how he operates, because he only plays at Southampton.
Very good.
So
Well, that's probably still available on Sky Sports somewhere, so if you haven't seen it, you should go and watch it.
It probably is. But don't worry about this rubbish, which I've just told you about. What's it called again? Jonathan Strange and
the
Mr.
Magic
Morrell.
Show.
Yeah, Mad Men. If you like Mad Men, it's okay. But Don Draper's wife's going to die of cancer, so that's very sad. I don't like watching. I don't like watching sad programmes.
No,
and
I know.
there we are. There we are.
Life is sad enough.
I think that was a pretty good review, that, didn't
I
you?
think that was excellent.
That was
Yeah,
excellent.
that was
Thank you.
Porky Vision for
Thank
1
you.
week. Same
Yeah.
time next week. Coming up tomorrow, of course, it will be a time for the Porky quiz on the Eurovision Song Contest.
Indeed.
This is Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. There will, of course, be a podcast coming out. Just follow us on at the Two Mikes on Twitter, and you'll find out when it's coming out. It's usually coming out around about 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
Mr. Parry will be back, of course, tomorrow with Porky Quiz Time on the Eurovision Song Contest. So that should be very, very exciting.
Indeed.
Now, what do you got for us?
No, what I want to ask you about, because you're an expert in this, is the hassles of divorce, right?
Yes.
And the reason is because there's a spectacular one going on at the moment. And, you know, people come to they come to London from all over the world to get their divorces sorted.
They do, and one of the reasons for that is that they're thought to be able to get more money, particularly as women. They're
That's
thought
right.
to be able to get more money
Women
out
come
of their
from all over the
husbands.
world. Anyway,
Yeah.
this one is spectacular. And the reason why, it involves a guy called Richard Fields, right? He has already been married and divorced 5 times.
Right.
And the reason he's getting divorced now for a 6th time is he's got another wife lined up he wants to marry.
He must be a glutton for punishment.
Well, he must be, but...
he sounds like more of an expert in divorce than me.
Yeah,
I've only really been divorced once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, although you should have been divorced 6 or 7 times.
Why?
Well, the amount of women you've let down in your life, you didn't bother marrying in the first place.
Yeah, but you don't get divorced unless you're married. So since I've only been married once, you don't
Shun
get
your
divorced once.
responsibilities. You wouldn't make an honest woman of
You're
most
the
of
guy-
the women that you cheated on.
You're the guy that should have been named as the co-respondent in about 5 divorces.
I totally
because
disagree
you were
with
always knocking off women who were married.
No, any relationship I had with any married woman improved her marriage.
Yeah, well,
I was always told that.
Good luck telling the divorce judge that.
No, I was always told that. You know, it's improved my... Oh, you've made such a difference in my life. Oh, I really
Well, I'm
appreciate
sure the
it.
husband
Thanks,
wouldn't
Anne.
have agreed.
No, well, he wouldn't have agreed, would he? Because people don't like to think that they're being cuckolded.
No.
But I was, in fact, a marriage guidance counsellor to all intents and purposes.
Right.
But anyway... so this guy, now the current wife...
So he's been married 5 times.
Yes.
He's about to be married for a 6th time.
No, well, he's got to get divorced to the 5th one, so he can marry the 6th one, okay?
Unbelievable.
And the current wife is a Ms. Parvanova, Russian extraction. And it seems to me that he simply changes one wife model for another, usually younger, although I don't know the whole history of his marital
I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was the case.
But this young lady is very young. He's 59, and she is described as a Russian beauty queen, Ekaterina Parvanova. And one of the things she's demanding in the divorce, bizarrely, is the Steinway piano.
Steinway?
Steinway.
What's wrong with Steinway?
Well, it's because you pronounce it Steinway.
Are you sure about that?
I'm certain. I know all about Steinway pianos.
Steinway?
We had a Steinway at school.
Did you?
And in fact, funny
Did
enough...
you have a staircase as well?
Funny enough, by the way... you know, I did another radio programme earlier in the week, which resulted in this big row with the chap from UK.
See, this is you. I mean, you can't stop yourself, can you?
No.
I mean, have you ever turned anyone down?
No, but hang on. In the foyer to this particular radio station, Radio 2 actually, it's very fine.
Yeah. What radio station was it?
Radio 2.
Radio 2.
And there's a piano, a Steinway.
A Steinway?
In the entrance hall.
Was anyone playing it?
No, but it belonged to Elton John.
Yes.
And there's a plaque on it saying this is Elton John's piano when he once performed at the BBC, donated to the BBC, and it's a Steinway, okay?
Is that how they say you should pronounce it?
Who told
you that?
The other bit about this, by the way, is did you see on Monday, in Monday's Daily Express, the Daily Express wrote a big feature about me and the row, saying
About
that,
you?
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
saying it was one of
You
the
must bring that in.
It was one of the best ever broadcasting rows we ever
All
heard.
right.
And then
But they would have been on the other guy's side, wouldn't they? Being a UKIP supporting newspaper.
No, they're on my side.
Were they?
They're on my side. And then they listed things like Paxman and, you know,
Michael Howard,
the 14 times he asked him,
17 times,
and all that kind of stuff, you know. But I was the
Well,
actual...
what was the highlight of this so-called spat then?
Well, just that the other guys...
Because all I saw on Twitter
Yeah.
was a lot of people saying that for the first time somebody actually may be able to keep you quiet.
No, I stitched the guy up. I mean, I had him tied up in knots.
Most people said that as well.
He was brainless, and I...
Winston, his name was,
Winston,
right?
that's right. I brought some order to...
Oh, I'll have to go look for that Monday piece from the Monday paper there. I missed that.
Well, I kept a copy, actually. I've got one outside if you want to have a look at it.
Have you?
Yes.
Did you carry it around with you?
Well, no,
Why have
carry
you
it
got it
around
with
with
you?
me. I just happened to have it. That's all.
What do you mean you happen to have it?
Well, yeah, I probably
It's
sent
now
it to my
Wednesday.
mum.
Well, in fact, it's Thursday.
Probably sent it to my mother. You know, she collects those sort of things. Now then, this Steinway piano is in the £2.5 million marital home in New
How do you
York.
pronounce Stradivarius?
Stradivarius.
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 Why?
Well, because because they come from Eastern Europe, there's an inflection on the Steinway.
Where do you think Steinway comes from then?
Well, Eastern Europe, as I told you. Germany. Eastern
Germany's
Germany.
not Eastern Europe.
East Germany.
You think they come from
anyway,
East Germany?
Anyway, look, what I'm saying is that she's demanding this piano, even though she doesn't play the piano, and neither does he.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why they had a piano in the first place.
Right.
But he's saying, I'm not giving it away. And when the judge said why, he said, well, in my divorce number 3... I had to give away the original Steinway piano.
Right. And how many Steinways can you give away?
Exactly. He said,
Steinway to heaven.
He said, that's right. He said, and this one was the replacement, and I don't feel I want to give it away.
Right.
And the judge said, how much is it worth? He said, £64,000. He said, I paid $100,000 for it to put it into my apartment.
$100,000?
Yeah, she's 42, by the way.
All right.
So she's a 42-year-old Russian beauty. He's 59. So what I was going to say was, Mike, I mean, did you have these hassles when you got divorced?
Well, first
what
of all,
did
I
your
didn't-
wife take that you wanted?
Well, she took everything, basically.
It's like everything?
Yeah, I mean,
And
all I
what was
got-
sentimentally close to your heart that you wanted to keep?
Well-
What about all your CDs?
Well, the only thing I really got out of the marriage with
Yeah.
were like the clothes that,
Yeah.
that I had.
The clothes on your back?
No, I was able to go back to the house at one point and take the clothes out that were still there.
I'm not surprised she was upset with you after the marriage counsellor heard that you cheated
Yeah,
with her
yeah,
on
yeah.
6 women.
Well, I mean,
did
you
she
know.
cut any of your clothes up?
No.
Oh, really? I thought she
No.
might, because she was quite mad, Susan, wasn't she,
was
your
a bit,
first
yeah.
wife?
Well, I mean, that's very harsh.
Yeah,
'cause
well,
we get along fine now.
Yeah,
you know,
well, I
so-
know you do now, but I mean, yeah, she was a bit erratic.
She wasn't very
Did she
happy.
ring up your boss and demand that he sacked you because
yeah, she
you
did
had
that,
the
yeah.
morals of an alley cat?
She did do that,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I think she's absolutely right as well. And I think that the man who ran the Mirror
Why is
Group
this about me?
newspapers in those days should have done it, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about divorce and men, you know, whose
Fortunately,
brutality
actually,
towards their wives has to
fortunately-
be repaid to society.
Fortunately, everybody that she rang up to tell I had the morals of an alley cat had also gone through a rather messy divorce and had a rather crazy wife. So actually,
Yes.
they didn't have much sympathy for it. Let me read you this. Steinway & Sons was founded in 1853 by German immigrant Henry Engelhard
Told you.
Steinway
Yeah.
in a Manhattan loft on Varick Street.
Yeah, but he's German, isn't he?
Over the next 30 years, Henry and his sons developed the modern piano. They built their pianos one at a time, applying skills that were handed down from master to apprentice, generation after generation. So they're actually American.
Yeah, but he's German.
Yeah, but you don't say Steinway. They come from America.
Yeah, but he's a German. I mean, America's made up of people from all over the world. He has to be German, as I
Exactly.
told you.
Now, the only other stuff I got away with some CDs. Some of the CDs I have to report when I got them and tried to play them in the car were scratched beyond recognition.
What, she deliberately scratched them?
I think so, yeah.
Maliciously?
Yep.
That's horrible.
I haven't got any pictures whatsoever of our time together because
Well, you didn't want it, did you?
I believe she burned all of those.
Well, she would have burned all the wedding pictures.
she
I was in
also-
one of your wedding pictures outside the
Well, that wedding
cathedral.
picture has been on the
Yeah.
internet. You can still
Exactly,
see it. In fact,
yeah.
we posted it not that long ago on the Two Mikes. In fact, I think it's on the Two Mikes website.
Is it? Yeah,
I think
probably.
The other interesting thing she left for me was a car, which I'd bought her because eventually she went back to America with the kids.
Right.
And she left this car. It
So
was
this is when you abandoned your children, yeah?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I gave her permission to take them to America,
Right,
because I thought that would be better for her and for
Because she
them.
wanted to get as far away from you as possible. She
Well,
wanted to literally put the
she wanted-
distance
she
of the
wanted to go
Atlantic
back-
Ocean
well,
between
no.
you and her.
She wanted to go back to
God,
the
she
bosom
must
of
have
her
really
family.
hated you.
Well, she did
You
for a while.
must have treated her badly
I
and
treated
dreadfully.
her okay. And then she left this car, right? And it was a relatively new Ford sort of estate car, shall we say.
Yes.
Quite a nice blue colour.
Right.
And I was at the time living in Glasgow, so I thought, well, I'll have to go back down to Wiltshire. And
collect
she'd left
the
it
car.
at a friend's house, and she'd left it in a field with no petrol in it. And as I approached it, I noticed that it was strangely dented. And I can only describe the way the sort of the bodywork had been.
Yes.
It looked as if somebody had wrapped a brick up in a sort of a towel and basically smashed the car in sort of regular intervals.
How
all
many
the way-
dents were in it?
Well, the whole car was dented.
What,
Literally the whole car.
Well, you're accusing
So if
your
you
wife
ran-
of literally
if you
getting
ran-
a brick and going around bricking your car.
Well, there was no other
She must have
explanation.
really hated you. She must have hated you.
There was no other explanation.
Good God. Well, there could have been. Supposing when she left it in this field,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, with no petrol in it,
Yeah.
some miscreant came along.
What, with a brick and a towel?
No, with a boot and just started booting
Well,
it.
no, it wasn't in an abandoned field. It was in a field adjacent to my friend's
Yeah.
property.
Well, didn't your friend, who was supposed to be custodian of the car, know where the dents had come from?
Well, no, because he said that was the way it was when it arrived.
Well, so she bricked it at home and
Yeah.
then went and parked it around your friend's
Yeah,
house.
I think so.
Yeah, she must have been driven
So I
complete
drove
insanity.
the car up to Scotland, right? And this car was probably worth about $5 or $6 grand,
Yeah.
if it had been in, reasonably good
Yes,
condition.
yes.
And I sold it to a guy for like 1,500 quid because I thought
Because of the dents.
if I had to get all this bodywork repaired, which wouldn't have taken, it would have taken a bit of work and it would have probably cost me about 1,000 quid.
Yes.
But I thought, there's no point in doing that. So
No.
I sold it to this guy for 1,500 quid.
Yeah, well, you see, this is, I mean...
Are you happy now? Are you happy now that you've,
Well, yes.
sort of exposed
Happier.
my personal life on the radio?
Happy, yeah. Well, you volunteered all that, and the point is, all we can say is...
Well, the
that-
difference between you
and
and
this
I-
is the judgment the audience will make, is you drove the woman to distraction with your despicable behaviour.
Not at all.
You couldn't keep your zip up.
No.
You couldn't keep your trousers on.
Not true.
You drove the woman to pure
Absolute
dementia.
rubbish. No.
So I'm amazed she
Yeah.
only bricked your car.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't brick your face.
Yeah, well,
Because I tell you what, man, if she...
Luckily, she wasn't a woman
Yeah.
of violence, unlike
Yeah.
you. So the difference between you and I is
Yes.
when I ask you a personal question,
Yes.
you try and avoid it. You don't like to give the truth about yourself.
That's
I
not
sit
true.
here, and people listen to this show, and they know
That's-
very well
that's not true.
that when I say something, because I'm a man of some integrity,
Yes.
my word can be trusted. Unlike you, who shilly-shallies around and makes excuses
Shilly-shallies? I
and
don't
doesn't
think that's a proper word.
answer a direct question.
It's not a word in English
Well, let me
language,
ask you a
shilly-shallies.
direct question.
You just ask me any question you want.
How old are you?
What's that got to do with the price of fish?
You see?
What's it got to do with
Are
the
you
price
going to
of
answer
fish?
that?
It's an unnecessary
You
incursion.
won't answer a straight question.
The audience aren't interested.
Okay.
Let me tell
I
you
think
this.
my point has been proven.
Let me tell you what I'm interested in. You got away light, right? Because Mr. Trowell, this is the multimillionaire on his sixth divorce, right? Miss Parvanova, that's his fifth wife,
Yes.
is only asking for things like £75,000 a year for holidays,
Right.
£20,000
75 grand?
Yeah, for
Blimey.
holidays. £20,000 a year for medical care,
Yeah.
£31,000 a year for a nanny,
Right.
£56,000 a year for clothes,
Right.
£100,000 a year for food and entertaining. I mean,
Blimey.
at least you didn't cop for all that,
That's true.
which you could have done.
Well, it could have done, but
Yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, the reason why she will be able to get some of that money is because she will claim that she needs to be kept in the style to which she had now become accustomed.
Yeah, well,
do you remember what happened
that's
to Jim Carrey when he got divorced? I mean, he had an enormous amount of money that he had to pay out to his former wife.
Yeah.
Because there was a child involved. I presume there's no kids involved in this particular thing.
Yeah.
And he was nearly bankrupted because he had to pay so much money. Because she said she needed something like £30,000 a month just to live.
Well, John Cleese
Yeah.
went back on the road at the age of about
And said
67.
he was doing it to fund his
He
divorce.
called it the divorce tour because he paid his wife a ridiculous amount of money, like 12 million quid.
I know.
I don't know why.
But is this not now the
Couldn't he
time?
have sorted something out?
Well, is this not
Yeah.
now the time for you to admit the real reason you never got married, you never found the first Mrs. Parry, is actually because you never fancy being taken to the cleaners by a woman?
not at
Because
all.
I think that's what you fear.
Not
Because
at all.
you fear your God is money, right? You worship
Not
it.
at all.
You worship it. You
Not
visit it.
at all.
You squirrel it away. You've got bank accounts that you don't even know you've got because it means so much to you to have so much of money around you.
Not
and you
at
would
all.
not want anyone
Not
to take
at all.
that away from you. And that's why you never got married.
No, I'm very generous to people, so I don't mind.
I know you are.
I don't mind giving money away. No, the reason it never happened, mate, is because I didn't want to abandon a wife and children and have them think ill of me. The best divorce I've heard about, right, was a
There's
colleague.
no time left.
No,
save it for
very
tomorrow.
quickly. No,
save it for tomorrow.
No, there's
no time left. We've got 20 seconds.
You see, you and your time obsession always kills off the programme.
Well, it's nothing to do with that. It's because you spent so much time slagging me off for my
Rubbish.
alleged bad habits. Anyway, we'll hear that story tomorrow. Don't give the name away, of course, of the guy you're going to name
No, okay.
who got divorced, but we'll bring you that story on the Two Mics show tomorrow.
It's Jeff Edwards, actually.
Jeff Edwards. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
Anyway, all I could hear at the end of the phone was, "Oh, what are you doing? The bridges are down." I said, where? I said, where is this happening? Is this in London? No. I couldn't get out of him where it was. It was San Francisco. And I said, have you sent anybody? What? I said, well, you're a news editor. It's a story. Have you sent anybody over there to... oh, the bridges. Because he'd seen images of these bridges collapsing, all these cars going into the river, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
He was very excited. You cannot transport a lorry load of bread in the saddlebag of a bike.
If you love the Two Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.